Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
However, the kitchen was now a mess. Kong Xiaoqiao had no choice but to hurriedly tidy up again. Then, she opened the lid of the pot. Fortunately, the rice was still fine. Louis Chin left the house and quickly rushed to the department. Because he was in a hurry in the morning, he didn't have time to say anything to Xia Zijuan. Although the two of them didn't have a good relationship, they were childhood friends. Now, he came to the department to report. Although they weren't in the same team, they were in the same department after all. He had to go and take a look point too. If it wasn't for Kong Xiaoqiao who made the house a mess, he would have gone long ago. Thinking of Kong Xiaoqiao, that stinky girl, Louis Chin's old face blushed for no reason. Coincidentally, he was caught by Feng Gang at this moment point too. Who was Feng Gang? He was also from the investigation department. He saw the change in Louis Chin at a glance and immediately ran over with a sly smile. He lifted his arm and put it on Louis Chin's shoulder, as if he had discovered something shameful point too. He said softly, "Hey, I say, brother, what's the happy occasion? Why are you smiling so, too?" A burly man put his hand on Louis Chin's body. That weight was enough to fit Louis Chin. However, with such a weight, Louis Chin's body did not even shake. It was clear how solid his basic skills were. Just as Feng Gang finished speaking, Louis Chin moved quickly. He grabbed the other party's claw and turned around. Then, he heard Feng Gang's loud shouting point too. Hey, 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 you be gentle, be gentle. Why are you always like this? Hey, brother Lou, show mercy too. Louis Chin did not show any signs of blushing at that moment. Not only did he twitch his lips, he shook his head and said, "King Kong, how many times have I told you? You don't learn too." After saying that, he let go of his hand very quickly. Then, Louis Chin acted as if nothing had happened. Feng Gang held the wrist of his other hand with one hand. He grimaced and said, "Hey you, aren't I just touching your shoulder? Do you have to be so ruthless, too?" Hearing that, Louis Chin looked coldly at Feng Gang, who was taller and stronger than him. He said expressionlessly, "If you were an enemy, you probably wouldn't even have the chance to cry out in pain. When you have nothing to do, hurry up and practice, too." Hearing this, Feng Gang put his entire shoulder down and said with a mournful face, "Please, can you not be so serious? It's always like this, too." Then, he whispered with an aggrieved face, "Do you think I'm willing? If I had your skills, would I still be in this position at my age, too?" Hearing this, Louis Chin stopped walking forward and said with a cold face, "What did you say, too?" Hearing this, Feng Gang immediately waved his hand and said, Nothing. I heard that sister-in-law is very warm-hearted and wants to cook for you, and she accidentally set the house on fire, too." When Louis Chin heard that, his face instantly turned black. He couldn't be bothered with him and directly strode forward. Feng Gang immediately trotted behind him and said as he walked, I've heard about it. TSK, sister-in-law really cares about you. She also knows that this tactic of pestering you is useless. Look, now she's using a roundabout strategy to... It's just that she hasn't mastered this technique yet, but this method is still pretty good. I'm not talking about you like a big brother. Sister-in-law is a little young. Look, you have to have good looks, knowledge, and strength. Other than being born in a farming family, everything else is pretty good. Don't keep a cold face every day. Sister-in-law is so attentive to you. Don't let others be disappointed. This woman, you have to dote on her too." Before he could finish, Louis Chin stopped in his tracks. He looked at Feng Gang with disdain and said, "You're a burly man, yet you're so afraid of your wife. I don't know if the others know." When Feng Gang heard that, he immediately widened his eyes, patted his chest, and said, "Me? Afraid of my wife? Nonsense, too." Then, he swallowed his saliva and said, "I can tell at a glance that you're a raw egg. The more you dote on this woman, the more gentle she becomes. Do you understand? If you don't understand, then learn from me." All right. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm leaving too." Louis Chin looked at a certain King Kong that had left in a hurry and could not help but shake his head. That shrewd Kong Xiaoqiao. Fortunately, he did not give her a good look. If he had given her a good look, she would have been able to go up and tear the roof off the house. Point 2. Louis Chen thought of this and curled his lips as he continued to walk forward. Feng Gang's fear of his wife was also accidentally discovered by Louis Chen. Because he was going to get married, the ministry had arranged for him to live in his current house. He happened to be a neighbor of Feng Gang. One day, when he was cleaning up his new house, he accidentally discovered that Feng Gang's wife, Wang Shuahua, was grabbing his ear and scolding him. The scene of that burly figure being grabbed by a thin and weak woman and screaming, but not retaliating, left Liu Yichen dumbstruck. Point 2. Although it was just a face-to-face encounter, what kind of eyes did Liu Yichen have? One look was enough. At that time, he was very surprised. Such a masculine man was actually bullied to such an extent by his wife. This really refreshed Liu Yichen's worldview. Point 2. What made him even more puzzled was that Feng Gang's wife, Wang Shuahua, was a gentle and magnanimous person. He did not expect that she was actually a shrew in private. One should not judge a book by its cover. Perhaps Feng Gang had also seen Liu Yichen that time, and from then on, he did not hide anything from him anymore. He even imparted some experience to Liu Yichen whenever he was free. Liu Yichen did not know what to do. He did not want his ears to be pulled by his wife and scolded like Feng Gang. Thinking about that scene, he decided to forget about it. Point 2. As for Feng Gang, he was like a broken jar that had been thrown into a bucket. Liu Yichen had seen it anyway, so it was useless for him to say anything more. However, didn't others see it? Even if Feng Gang was open-minded, it was still very embarrassing to be afraid of his wife in this era. Point 2. Therefore, as soon as Liu Yichen opened his mouth, he became listless and hurriedly ran away. However, no matter what, Feng Gang's evaluation of Liu Yichen was quite high. At the same time, he was especially impressed by him. Otherwise, since he was so much older than Liu Yichen, why would he willingly work together with him? 2. If the two leaders of this team did not get along, that would be a big taboo. Feng Gang could not help but admire Liu Yichen. Not to mention anything else, with his skills, he reckoned that the entire department here did not have a match for him. Then, even in the headquarters of the Special Forces, he would still be in existence at the king level. Otherwise, how could a young person become a division leader? 2. There was a difference between the ranks of the Special Forces department and those of the ordinary departments. In other departments, the battalion commander was a battalion commander, while the detachment commander was a regiment commander. However, the battalion commander of the Special Forces department was a regiment commander. Point 2. In other words, the ranks of Liu Yichen's department were a level higher than the ranks of the other departments. Dear friends, in order to thank everyone for their support and encouragement, Duo organized a floor-stomping event in the Book City. They prepared exquisite gifts for their friends. There was a huge and complete snack gift pack, a beautiful pillow with a picture of a pretty lady on the cover, and an exquisite engraved bookmark. There was also a beautiful Dior lipstick waiting for you to come and get it. What are you waiting for? Come and join us quickly. If you know the details, please go to the comment section of the bookstore and leave a message at the top of the floor-stomping event. He had become a division leader at such a young age, so he had definitely earned a lot of battle merits. Other teams might still have a little bit of merit, but in the Special Forces, that was simply impossible. Point 2. It was unknown what kind of unlucky day it was today. Good things did not go out, but bad things spread far and wide. Just then, Instructor Wang Zishan walked over with a smile from afar. Point 2. When Liu Yichen saw him, his expression was especially serious as he jogged a few steps. He stood at attention and saluted. Instructor Wang, nice to meet you. 2. Wang Zishan narrowed his eyes and laughed. Xiao Lu, what are you doing? 2. Before Liu Yichen could tell him the purpose of his trip, Instructor Wang Zishan continued. I've heard about it. In order to prepare a good meal for you and satisfy your cravings, your wife accidentally lit the fire and almost set the house on fire. 2. When Liu Yichen heard this, his entire face froze. How could one or two pieces of news be so fast? Before Liu Yichen could tell him what he was going to do, Instructor Wang Zishan continued with a smile. It's just a small matter. There's no need for you to come personally. 2. Your wife is also kind-hearted. She just didn't do a good job. Go back and teach her well. 2. After saying that, his face turned stern, and he said seriously, "But I have to say it first. Your wife is young, and the little girl is most afraid of your cold face. Go back and speak nicely. Don't act like you're reprimanding your subordinates. You'll scare the other girl, too." After saying that, he patted Louis Chen's shoulder twice and said, "That's enough. Go back, too." At this moment, Louis Chen's face was almost cracked. "Who said he was here to report to you? Who said he was here to look for you? He was too. Also, what benefits did that stinky girl give you? One or two of you all spoke up for her. How could you be nice to her, too?" If he couldn't even suppress that stinky girl with a straight face, then it would be even worse if he was nice to her. Wang Zishan waited for Louis Chen for a while and found that he hadn't moved. He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment and said, "Didn't I tell you to go back? Are you really afraid that I'll criticize and educate your wife, too?" After saying that, he said with a straight face and said seriously, "If you want to criticize and educate her, it should be towards you. If your wife makes a mistake, it's all because the old men didn't teach her well. You don't think about those stinky men in the ministry every day. You already have a family. It's time for you to stop thinking about them, too." What kind of words were those, too? Louis Chen looked at his own tutor with a dumbfounded expression, while Wang Zishan ignored him. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He continued, "Oh, look at my memory. Although the fire this time wasn't big and it was saved, there really can't be a next time. There can't be a next time. Let's go back, too." After saying that, he left on his own. Meanwhile, Louis Chen looked at Wang Zishan's disappearing figure with a dumbfounded expression. He knew that his own tutor was sometimes unreliable, but he didn't expect that unreliable things would happen because of this. Could it be because they were in charge of different positions? Was that why their temperaments were so different, too? Louis Chen thought for a long time, but this was the only explanation. Everyone had the same background, but they had different things to do. He was in charge of arranging troops, how to fight, and training soldiers. They were in charge of passing on orders from their superiors, raising the consciousness of their comrades, learning all kinds of documents from their superiors, as well as propaganda activities, unity, faith, and understanding the soldiers' family situation and the latest developments. Of course, which family was quarreling. It didn't matter if the husband and wife were quarreling or making a big deal out of it. In any case, it was all trivial matters point two. Therefore, the people who usually did these things seemed to be friendly and amiable, while people like Louis Chen each had a cold face. By now, Xia Zijuan already knew Kong Xiaoqiao's identity. He was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. Humph, this Louis Chen wasn't a good person. As expected, birds of a feather flocked together. The wife he married wasn't any better. Xia Zijuan was depressed when he thought about Kong Xiaoqiao and her bet. A wild girl from the countryside actually schemed against him. What made him even angrier was that he actually foolishly took the bait point too. Xiao Wang, who was driving, saw Xia Zijuan's gloomy and torrential rain. The cold sweat on his forehead dropped even more. Who had he offended? He was just carrying out a mission out of habit. How did he end up with these two masters? After a long while, Xia Zijuan recovered. He looked at Xiao Wang, who was covered in sweat, and said, "All right, I got it. You can go back to your work, too." Xiao Wang said, "All right then. If you have anything to say, just let me know, too." After saying that, he ran out like he was escaping. However, he had only taken 2 steps when he heard Xia Zijuan shout, "Wait a moment, too." Xiao Wang, too. He silently turned his head and said without even daring to breathe loudly, "Assistant Instructor Xia, please speak, too." When Louis Chen arrived at Xia Zijuan's dormitory, he pushed open the door and saw a half-naked man with a white towel tied around his waist. His upper body and legs were exposed. His skin was very white and very tenacious. The muscles on his body were faintly discernible, and the lines were also very perfect. If Kong Xiaoqiao saw it, she would definitely drool. Of course, it was not because this person's figure was good, but because, too, damn, this brat was too white. His skin was too good. She would probably be so jealous that her eyes would turn into rabbit eyes point two. Louis Chen's face turned black at the sight of it. There was a reason why the two of them did not like each other. For example, What Louis Chin despised the most was Xia Zijuan's white skin. Why was a man so fair and clean? And Xia Zijuan was also very helpless. Did you think he was willing to be born this way? Since he was young, other people's skin would turn black when they got sunburned, but his skin would get sunburned when he got sunburned. Is it his fault, too? He was also very helpless. Ever since he was young, he had been called a sissy. He was a pure man, but with his white skin and his dazzling looks, there was no point in explaining. As time passed, Xia Zijuan thought that they were all jealous that he was better looking than them, so he had been lied to too much. Hence, he really believed it now. A certain someone who was drying his hair with a towel and drinking from a large teapot that served the people heard the door open. When he saw that it was Louis Chin, he glanced at him and did what he was supposed to do. Louis Chin scolded him with a dark face. It's broad daylight. Can you be more careful? 2. Xia Zijuan squinted at Louis Chin, who had a serious look on his face. He curled his lips in disdain and said, I'm in my own dormitory, and you want to interfere? I've been here for a few years and haven't learned anything. How does your special forces train people? 2. After saying that, he turned to look at Louis Chin and said impatiently, What are you doing here? Go do what you're supposed to do. This young master doesn't need you to interfere. 2. When Louis Chin heard that, his face was still cold and he wasn't angry. He only glanced at Xia Zijuan from head to toe and replied, which almost angered Xia Zijuan to death. It's nothing. I just came over to make sure that you're still here. In case you're taken away by someone as a wife, someone can send a message home. 2. Xia Zijuan's face instantly turned ashen. He glared at Louis Chin and roared, Louis Chin, you're courting death, too. As he spoke, Xia Zijuan threw the towel in his hand and pounced on him. What did Xia Zijuan hate the most? Louis Chin specifically said something that poked people's hearts. Back then, when he was still a teenager, because he was fair and good-looking, he was pursued relentlessly by a young man. He pestered him relentlessly and insisted on marrying him as a wife. What was even more hateful was that he actually carried him home and wanted to commit Airy Point too. At that time, Louis Chin was only 12 or 13 years old. He was far from reaching out like he was now. At the critical moment, Louis Chin appeared. That battle had been very difficult. Both of them were injured to different degrees, and their injuries were quite serious. Logically speaking, the two of them should have formed a very deep friendship. No matter what, they had suffered together. However, this matter had become Xia Zijuan's disgrace. He had always been arrogant. At that time, he still had enmity towards Louis Chin. After seeing such an unbearable scene, he was even more ashamed. Hence, after that, he saw Louis Chin become even worse. Although the boy who carried him away was beaten up badly by Xia Zijuan, so badly that he doubted his life, he was still angry. In his life, he hated to be mentioned about this past, and Louis Chin just had to say it. Well, one slap couldn't make a sound. Both of them were a little angry today. Otherwise, it could be said that impulsiveness was the devil. Soon, the room was filled with banging sounds. All kinds of disharmonious sound were heard. Those who had come back to rest looked at each other. What was going on? Fortunately, it didn't take long. In just 3 minutes, Louis Chin came out of Xia Zijuan's dormitory. He opened the door and saw several pairs of eyes staring at him. Louis Chin put on his hat unhurriedly, saluted with a calm expression, and left after waving to everyone. Of course, these people also wanted to stop him and ask about the situation. However, when they saw the bars on his shoulders and the team logo on his chest, they could only smile and send him off. Otherwise, what else could they do? He was from the Special Forces. Even if they were to join forces, they would not be a match for him. Moreover, people like them especially admired and respected people who went to the Special Forces. Other than admiration in their eyes, there was nothing else point to. Instead, they were filled with sympathy for Xia Zijuan in the dormitory. For him to dare to make a move against the people from the Special Forces, this brother's courage was definitely commendable point too. Wasn't his courage commendable? At this moment, a certain someone in the dormitory was rolling around on the bed in pain and wailing. The big red marks and bruises on his body were clearly visible. Especially under the contrast of his white skin, they were even more conspicuous. If people did not understand, they would think that Xia Zijuan had been too. His appearance was too misleading. Louis Chin might not like to talk, but in fact his mouth was black. They had known each other for so long, and Louis Chin knew Xia Zijuan very well. Anyone who dared to give him a look would not have a good ending. Of course, except for Kong Xiaoqiao. That was an exception. And what was Xia Zijuan's weakness? The first was that he was almost carried away, and the second was that he hated it when people said that he looked like a girl. Although he usually acted as if nothing had happened and thought that it was just a drizzle, in his heart, he cared very much. Everyone who dared to say those words would slowly be avenged by him. This kid was the one who bore grudges. At that time, not only did Louis Chin say things that he did not want to hear, but he also looked up and down. The contempt in his eyes was not hidden at all, and it immediately made Xia Zijuan angry. Point 2. However, the two of them were used to it. Almost every time they met, they would quarrel. It was just that this time, they were more aggressive. Of course, there were not many cases where they fought. When he was young, Xia Zijuan was still unwilling to admit defeat and went to Louis Chen for training. In the end, after he was beaten up miserably every time, he rarely took the initiative to provoke and fight. Most of the time, he used his mouth to talk. It was undeniable that Xia Zijuan's poisonous snake mouth was quite powerful. Unfortunately, today he was properly tricked by that smelly girl, Kong Xiaoqiao. His anger had not subsided along the way, and when he saw Louis Chen, his expression became even worse. How did he get transferred to this godforsaken place? Wasn't it all because of that smelly kid, Louis Chen? And the matter of him going to the Special Forces Department made Xia Zijuan even more resentful. Yes, his skills were not as good as Louis Chen's, but in the past, how many people could be better than him? Too. Wasn't it all because of his skin? He would get sunburned as soon as he got sunburned. The Special Forces Department did not want him, and even people looked down on him in the department. It was because he was fair and clean, and he felt that he was not reliable in doing things. Damn it, I don't believe in this evil too. New and old grudges. Damn it, this husband and wife pair were simply his nemesis. Point 2. On this side, Xia Zijuan hated them so much that their teeth itched. Louis Chen was not someone to be trifled with. In addition, because of that shrewd Kong Xiaoqiao, everyone in the department now knew about him, and he had already become a topic of conversation for others. It would be a wonder if he was in a good mood. Point 2. Hence, too, at this moment, a certain someone who was still fighting with fire, for no reason, violently sneezed twice. Achoo, achoo, too. F***CK. Which villain is scolding me, too? Just as she said this, a painful cry was heard. This voice was unusually loud, and Louis Chen, who had walked into the courtyard, happened to hear it. Point 2. At this moment, he could not care about anything else and ran over as fast as he could. Then, he was stunned at the door. Then, the corners of his mouth could not help but slowly curl up, and then it became bigger and bigger. Finally, he could not help but laugh out loud. A certain someone who was still lighting the fire was now in a sorry state. Her entire face was dark, and she could faintly smell the scent of bird feathers, too. Hearing the sound, Kong Xiaoqiao slowly turned her head and saw that Louis Chen was actually laughing so happily. She instantly felt bad. Then, she covered her face and shouted loudly, too. She ran back to her room to find a wash basin without caring about anything else. Kong Xiaoqiao's voice was really loud. Her neighbor, Wang Xiuhua, was having dinner at her house. Suddenly, the sound scared her little daughter so much that her bowl fell on the table. Then, she started crying loudly. Point 2. Wang Xiuhua quickly hugged her little daughter, Yuan Yuan, and comforted her, Yuan Yuan, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. It's okay, too. Wang Xiuhua's eldest daughter, Fong Fong, opened her mouth and said, Mom, what's wrong with this person? Why is she always involved in everything? Can't she stop every day? She can't even eat properly, and too. Then, she picked up Yuan Yuan's bowl and comforted her in a low voice. Yuan Yuan, don't cry. Don't be afraid of her. Big sister is here. If it really doesn't work out, there's still our dad. What's there to be afraid of, too? When Wang Xiuhua heard this, she immediately laughed out loud. Then she put her younger daughter down and nodded at her elder daughter's head, saying, "You, who taught you this? Too. All right, take good care of my younger sister. I'll go out and see what's going on." When Fong Fong heard this, she stuck out her tongue and began to coax her younger sister point too. Wang Shuahua was in the courtyard and saw Lu Yichen laughing through the fence. She could not help but be stunned. However, just as she was about to turn around and come back, she was seen by Lu Yichen. It would not be good if she turned around and left at this time. Therefore, she braced herself and asked, "Unit Lu, what happened to Sister Xiao Qiao? Is she all right too?" Lu Yichen had already stopped smiling. He clenched his fist into an empty fist and placed it on his chin. He coughed twice and looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, who was frantically washing her face and hair. He turned around and said to Wang Shuahua, "Ahem, ahem, it's fine. Sister-in-law Wang, it's fine too. We didn't scare the children, right, too?" Wang Shuahua was smart. She smiled and nodded. "It's good that they're fine. The children are all fine. They're very brave, too. Since you're all right, I'll go back to my room to eat. Call me if there's anything, too." Wang Shuahua tactfully went back to her room to continue eating. Kong Xiaoqiao was so angry that she was about to cry after washing herself. She sat there looking as pitiful as she could be. She even glared at Lu Yichen from time to time. Seeing this, Lu Yichen was in a good mood for no reason. He then lifted his feet and entered the room. He stared at Kong Xiaoqiao without saying a word. At this moment, Kong Xiaoqiao had the urge to die. Who the F*** CK told her why there was fire in this pit. Why? Why too? Why? She, Kong Xiaoqiao, had lived for 28 years and had never been in such a sorry state. However, ever since she came here for no reason, she had been despised and targeted by others. Who had she ever been afraid of? Too. But why? Why was even fire bullying her? Was she that easy to bully? Too. The more Kong Xiaoqiao thought about it, the sadder she became. When she was sad, she couldn't help but feel sad from the bottom of her heart. With a cry, all her grievances were vented out. Meanwhile, a certain someone who was still watching the joke was stunned when he saw Kong Xiaoqiao crying so sadly. She didn't care about her image at all. Then, he frowned again. She was fine just a moment ago. Why was she crying in the blink of an eye? Lu Yichen expressed that he didn't understand. However, this girl's crying was too loud. If this continued, who knows what would happen. Therefore, he had no choice but to bite the bullet and go forward. He sat beside Kong Xiaoqiao and leaned forward. He thought that he used a gentler tone and said, "Don't cry. Why are you crying, too?" Lu Yichen originally wanted to comfort Kong Xiaoqiao, but he was used to speaking tough in the ministry. This comforting sentence had changed from his words. Kong Xiaoqiao was already sad, so she became even angrier when she heard Lu Yichen's words. She couldn't help but cry and yell, "If I'm willing to cry, I'll cry. What does it have to do with you? Too." When Lu Yichen heard that, his head buzzed. He frowned and said in a bad tone, "Don't cry, too." When Kong Xiaoqiao heard that, she widened her eyes. There were tears on her long eyelashes. Her crystal-clear eyes looked as if they had just been washed, but she didn't show any fear as she yelled, "I'll cry. I'll cry, too." Then, her tears fell down like a pitter-patter. As she cried, Kong Xiaoqiao said, "They're all bullying me. Woo, they're all bullying me. When others bully me, you bully me too. Even this fire is bullying me. Woo, too. What have I done to deserve this, too? Woo, I just want to eat a piece of meat. I have not eaten for a long time. It's so hard. Woo, too." To be honest, Kong Xiaoqiao was not a crybaby. There was no such word in her dictionary because she knew from a young age that tears could not save her. Therefore, she could only be more diligent, harder, tougher, and more ruthless than others in order to live a good life. However, for some unknown reason or reason, she could not stop crying because of the influence of this young body. To her, this small matter was not a big blow. However, she did not know what she was wronged about. She just wanted to cry. She just could not help but want to cry point too. Meanwhile, Lu Yichen saw that not only did Kong Xiaoqiao not stop, but she had become even worse. He could not help but frown. He could carry a gun and fight. He was not afraid of life and death. He was not afraid of danger. However, he had never coaxed a little girl who was crying so sadly. This made him very helpless. What he usually used in the ministry was completely useless against Kong Xiao. Now, even if he put on a straight face, he could not cure her. It was actually a fallacy. Not to mention far away, just in the past few days, which one of them bullied her? Didn't they all let her fight back? And this fire. Louis Chin could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth when he thought about it. She was from farming family. Did she not know that there was such a thing as choking on fire? 2. The reason why the fire was on fire was probably directly related to this. Thinking of the fire, he recalled the scene at the door just now. This girl squatted at the mouth of the stove and kept blowing air into it. Suddenly, a tongue of fire shot out. Not only did it burn her hair, but also sprayed her face with black ash. It was quite cute. At the same time, Kong Xiao's crying reminded him of his mother. In his limited memory, his mother also cried a lot back then. It was just that she cried silently. She didn't cry as freely as Kong Xiao. Thinking of this, Lu Yiqin softened his tone. At the same time, he took out a checkered handkerchief and handed it to her. Don't cry. Wipe your eyes. It won't look good if you cry until they're swollen. 2. This was the most gentle thing he could think of, and this was when he watched her coax her sister. When Kong Xiao heard this, she remembered her image. However, when she thought of her image, she felt even worse. She was in such a sorry state, but Lu Yiqin caught her in the act. It was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. Thus, she snatched Lu Yiqin's handkerchief and covered her face. She was really too ashamed to face anyone. When Lu Yiqin saw that Kong Xiao was showing signs of improvement, his tone was no longer as harsh as before. This girl was a stubborn donkey, so he had to stroke her fur. Thus, he said in a gentler voice, "All right, I want to eat meat too. Let me help you, too." Hearing that, Kong Xiao immediately stopped crying. The handkerchief slowly moved down her face, revealing a pair of big eyes. She stared at Lu Yiqin and said, "You can cook, too." Hearing that, Lu Yiqin shook his head and said, "I can cook roast meat and boiled meat, too." Hearing that, Kong Xiao immediately covered her face with a handkerchief and said, "Ah, too." Seeing that the girl was crying again, Lu Yiqin couldn't help but frown and said, "Then what should I do? By the way, didn't you say that you can cook, too?" Hearing this, Kong Xiao cried and said aggrievedly, "What's the use of me doing it? I don't know how to light a fire." Then, as she cried, she complained, "Why do we have to make such a big pot? Why is the fire so difficult to burn? Can't we build a simple stove in the courtyard? How convenient it would be to build a smaller pot with two." Lu Yiqin felt his head hurt from Kong Xiao's crying. Seeing the situation, he hurriedly said, Okay, don't cry. Don't cry. I know how to burn the fire. I'll burn the fire for you. As for building a simple stove, you have to know how to cook. Otherwise, it's useless to build it, too." "What, too?" Lu Yiqin would personally light the fire for her, too. Kong Xiao didn't cry when she heard that. She pulled down the handkerchief. Her big eyes were moist. She looked at Lu Yiqin curiously and said, "You really know how to light the fire, too. You light the fire. I cook, too." Lu Yiqin saw Kong Xiao like this and could not help but frown again. What bad idea was this girl having? Kong Xiao's eyes were bright. Thinking about it, Lu Yiqin was so handsome and stylish. He was so young and promising in an official position. He was dressed neatly. He sat on a pony and obediently lit a fire for her under the stove. This treatment, TSK too. In her previous life, no man was willing to help Kong Xiao in the kitchen, not even her fiancé. Point 2. This makes Kong Xiao feel a little excited, and the more Lu Yiqin looked, the deeper the frown. See Kong Xiao for a long time not to speak, but also look at him with an inexplicable expression. Couldn't help but stand up immediately and say, "Don't pull too." Yes, why not, too? Just when Lu Yiqin stood up and said this sentence, Kong Xiao had already quickly grabbed Lu Yiqin's lapel and then looked at him with a smile. That smile more than two. Ahem, too. Lu Yiqin did not expect that Kong Xiao would suddenly grab his lapel. Looking at the pair of small, black claws on his lapel, he could not help but say with a dark face, "Then hurry up." What time is it, too? At this time, Louis Chin somewhat regretted helping the girl. However, before he could completely regret it, Kong Xiaoqiao's big eyes turned. After blinking her eyes, she grabbed Louis Chin's lapels with an aggrieved face and said in a low voice, "Chin, too. Speak properly, too." Louis Chin was almost broken by Kong Xiaoqiao's call. Therefore, his expression was especially serious. He knew what the girl was planning. Sure enough, Kong Xiaoqiao wasn't affected at all. She continued to say in a tone that was deep in her bones, "Chin, about that. Let's discuss it. The public toilets in our family courtyard are really, too. About that. Let's build a new one next to our courtyard, too." Hearing that, Louis Chin immediately said with a serious face, "Don't even think about it. Everyone can go. So why can't you go? Why is it so special? Who's spoiling your bad habit? This matter is not negotiable, too." When Kong Xiaoqiao heard that, she was unhappy. He wanted this sister to pull down her face and beg you, but he was still so unethical. She could not help but squint her eyes, and then she began to grin. Then, when she saw that Louis Chin was still unmoved, her eyes deepened. It seemed that this sister had to use a big killer weapon, so she covered her face with the handkerchief and opened her mouth to say, "Ah, too." When Louis Chin heard this, his face turned black. With an ice-cold expression, he berated, "Don't cry." He was really troubled by Kong Xiaoqiao, this troublesome person. He just found something for her to do. This simple kitchen stove was built in his own home. No one would say anything. Some would dislike the hot weather, and some would build a kitchen stove outside, but there were so many families in the family courtyard, but no one built their own toilet point too. If every family was like this, what would happen? Even if he wanted to help Kong Xiaoqiao build one, he had to ask the leader point too. Of course, this was not a difficult thing to do. However, Louis Chin knew that if he followed this girl in everything, it would be even harder to discipline her in the future. Therefore, she cannot be coddled point two. Louis Chin was a wild man. He shouted slogans every day. Moreover, his voice was loud, stern, and serious. After he shouted, Kong Xiaoqiao jumped in fright. Kong Xiaoqiao saw that Louis Chin was really angry, so she slowly took down the handkerchief and blinked her big eyes. Then, she said softly, "Chin." Louis Chin was so angry that he was about to grind his teeth. Why was this stupid girl so nosy? She even used all kinds of tricks. Her skin was as thick as a city wall, and she didn't know shame at all. At this moment, his patience was almost worn out point two. His voice was as cold as the winter. He opened her mouth and said, "Speak properly. Let me tell you, it's useless to say anything. No means no. Are you going to cook or not?" 2. After a few rounds, Kong Xiaoqiao saw that this person was like a stone in a latrine pit, smelly and hard. She was so angry that she glared at Louis Chin. She pouted and said, "Humph, metal lump, too." Louis Chin, who had just walked to the door, turned his head and said with a cold face, "What did you say?" 2. Kong Xiaoqiao immediately smiled and said, "Nothing, nothing. I'll be right there. I'll be right there." 2. Her face changed quickly. After Louis Chin turned around and left, Kong Xiaoqiao glared at the metal lump again. Then, she curled her lips and narrowed her eyes. She said in a low voice, "Humph, there's nothing that this sister can't do. You just wait for this sister. Little fellow, I still can't take you down." 2. This damned Louis Chin. Damn it, he was actually so difficult to deal with. Thus, she angrily turned around and looked at herself in the mirror. Then, she cried out and quickly covered her face. Damn it, no wonder this move didn't work. It would be weird if it worked on this lousy image. In the mirror, her hair was like that of a dog gnawing on it. When she was burning the fire, her hair was scattered, so a small piece of her bangs had been burned by the fire. At this moment, the smell of burning bird feathers was still hanging there. In addition, the original owner's face was so black, and her hands were also so black. Kong Xiaoqiao was so angry that her face almost turned green. She was such a person who cared about her image point too. In the past, her skin was so smooth and tender that people would want to bite it if they saw it. However, looking at herself now, she even had the heart to die. No, moisturizing and whitening was imminent. It was not that Kong Xiaoqiao was vulgar. It was just that Since ancient times, this was a society that looked at faces. A beautiful girl and a slovenly person. Who was more attractive? Was there even a need to say that, too? Anyway, Kong Xiaoqiao attributed her failure to her bad image at the moment. Little did she know that Louis Qin didn't think in this direction at all. He simply felt a headache for this girl who could be a demon. But who was Kong Xiaoqiao? How did she dress back then? She put in a lot of effort. After looking at her hairstyle, she quickly picked up the scissors. Very decisively, in no time at all. When Kong Xiaoqiao appeared, her bangs and bun-shaped head, she changed into a new set of clean clothes. She looked even younger, like a 14 or 15-year-old girl. Point two. When Louis Qin saw this, his face darkened again. Was he married to a child? How could he bring her out with such an underage hairstyle? 2. All right, even though this wife was already underage, thinking about how he had to marry this shrewd person, Louis Qin was annoyed. Forget it, I'll push it back. I don't want to make the old man angry. Point two. During this period of time, he had been giving her a good education. The person who was about to be educated didn't know that. At this moment, Kong Xiaoqiao was in a good mood when she saw Louis Qin sitting on the small stool to start the fire. Moreover, the pot was already starting to heat up. Point two. What happened just now was as if nothing had happened. She happily hummed a little tune without any ill feeling. She continued, "Yi Qin, you're really amazing. I've been working for so long, but I still haven't lit it. You lit the fire so well all of a sudden. Look, the pot is already boiling, too." The person who had been praised still had a cold expression on his face. He sat on the small stool and started to burn his fire, asking her to speak properly. He had already told her 800 times, as if he didn't remember anything. At this moment, he couldn't be bothered with her. She could do whatever she wanted, so he said indifferently, "Hurry up if it's boiling, too." Kong Xiaoqiao saw that his tone wasn't good, but she wasn't angry. She smiled and narrowed her eyes. You're just a small fry. I don't believe that I can't seduce you." Thus, she happily cooked her meal. Occasionally, she would look at Louis Qin. Her heart was filled with joy and an unprecedented sense of accomplishment. Point two. However, when Kong Xiaoqiao was cutting the meat, she could not help but frown and say, why is there a piece of meat missing? 2. When Louis Qin heard that, he frowned and said, "You must have remembered wrongly. How can there be less things at home? 2. Hurry up and cook your meal. What time is it already, 2? When Kong Xiaoqiao heard that, she looked at him and rolled her eyes. She curled her lips and said, "I have a good memory. It must be missing. I don't know which hand is so diligent, 2. When Louis Qin heard that, his face turned black again and said, "It's fine if it's missing. Don't go out and cause trouble. Isn't it just a piece of meat? They helped you put out the fire. How much meat can it be, too?" Seeing that Kong Xiaoqiao was still unmoved, Louis Qin sighed and said, "I'm at home this afternoon. Didn't you say that you want to build a simple stove in the yard, too?" Kong Xiaoqiao's eyes lit up when she heard that, and she said, Yes. Can you build it in the afternoon, too?" When Louis Qin heard that, he looked at Kong Xiaoqiao with a meaningful look and said, "That depends on your performance, too." Kong Xiaoqiao blinked her eyes and said, "I'll definitely perform well. It's just that the toilet, too." When Louis Qin heard that, his face turned cold, and he said, "Don't push your luck, too." Kong Xiaoqiao pursed her lips and continued to cut her meat. However, she was still very happy to be able to settle this matter. She didn't expect it to be so soon. With Louis Qin's inflexible personality, Kong Xiaoqiao was already very satisfied. Point two. Because of Kong Xiaoqiao's crying and Louis Qin's loud roar, many people heard it. They didn't know what had happened, and they all had their own guesses. Some were purely curious, while others were gloating. As such, Wang Shuhua had just finished her lunch and tidied up. The big ones went to school, while the small ones were playing in the courtyard. She had just fetched water and put it in the courtyard. Just as she was about to wash her clothes, she saw Zhao Xiulan come over. Zhao Xiulan was a regular visitor to her house, so she didn't stand on ceremony. She sat on a small stool and said while washing the clothes, "Sister Xiulan, have you finished your lunch, too?" Hearing this, Zhao Xiulan smiled slightly and said, "Well, I just finished my lunch. Sister-in-law Wang, why are you washing the clothes again, too?" As she said this, She walked to the front and sat on another small stool. She said with admiration, "Sister-in-law Wang, you really love cleanliness. I've never seen you stop washing the clothes for a day, too." Wang Shuahua laughed when she heard that. While washing her clothes, she said, "What do you mean by love cleanliness? I have no choice. I have 2 mud monkeys at home. This little girl is like a little boy. She could draw a map on her body without washing for a day, too. Hey, Sister Shilon, why didn't you take an afternoon nap before coming over today, too?" When Zhao Shilon heard this, she thought to herself, "Aren't you asking the obvious?" However, when she thought of this, she still said with a worried face, "I'm just worried, right? I don't know how Sister Xiao is doing now, too." Then, she lowered her head and said in a low voice, "Sister-in-law Wang, you're close to her. Do you know what happened, too?" Before Wang Shuahua could say anything, a loud voice came from behind Zhao Shilon. "Huh, what else could have happened? She must have been beaten up. If he doesn't beat up his prodigal daughter-in-law, who else would he beat up, too? I think that her skin is too tight. Detachment, Lu, just loosen it for her. Humph, too." After saying that, she carried her son and walked to the front. However, the child on her body twisted back and forth as if it was going to come down, point two. Lu Haiying was angry and hit his but hard. She said, "You better behave yourself. Every day, you only know how to be naughty, too." Seeing this, Wang Shuahua frowned and said, "All right, it's not a big deal. Why are you hitting the child? How can a little boy not be naughty, too?" After saying that, she said to the little boy, "Doggy, go play with Sister Yuan in the yard. Be good, too." To be honest, Wang Shuahua did not like this child of Lu Haiying's. When she saw him come, she could not help but frown. This child was really too naughty. He was only 5 or 6 years old, and he already wanted to tear everything apart. More importantly, this child also liked to bully others. Looking at her little daughter who had a little bird in her eyes, Wang Shuahua's heart ached, point two. But, since she was already here, she couldn't just chase him away, could she? On the other hand, Lu Haiying acted as if nothing had happened. As soon as she put the child down, she saw the child called Go Dan start to run away. She felt relieved, point two. Zhao Xiaolan saw it clearly from the side. Wang Shuahua had a distressed look on her face, but Lu Haiying couldn't see anything. Looking at the clothes on the child's body and the little face that looked like a cat, it was not comparable to Wang Shuahua's little daughter, Yuan. It was like heaven and earth, point two. After the children had left, Lu Haiying came over and said, "Sister-in-law Wang, was that Kong Xiao beaten up by Unit Lu? How did she get beaten up, too? I heard that crying sound and Unit Lu's roar. TSK, serve her right, too." At this time, a few more sister-in-law from the wilderness came one after another. After hearing Lu Haiying's words, they couldn't help but say in surprise, "Really? She was really beaten up, too? Aya, but Kong Xiao really has the heart to coax a man. No matter what, she has to take care of the fire, right? Too." Yes. But Kong Xiao is also kind-hearted, right, too? When the sister-in-law saw Zhao Xiaolan, her eyes lit up and she stepped forward and said, "Sister Xiaolan, you and Sister Xiao usually have the best relationship. Why don't you go and see what's going on, too?" The man of this wilderness sister-in-law was an instructor like Feng Gang, but he was Lu Haiying's man, Chen Aigua, and his team. They were really not a family. If they didn't enter the same family, this master was not afraid of big things. She was a little short and a little fat, with braided braids on her chest. She looked like a small earth tank. Her eyes were not big, but they were full of light. One look at her, and one could tell that she was not a worry-free person. Zhao Xiaolan could not help but freeze when she heard that. Her smile was a little stiff as she replied, "Hey, I really want to go, but I don't know what happened to Sister Xiao recently. She seems to be very angry with everyone. I also came to Sister-in-law Wang to ask if there was anything wrong, too." After this, it's better to not say the wrong things and make Sister Xiao unhappy. Don't you think so, Sister-in-law Wu, too? When Sister-in-law Wu heard that, she frowned and said exaggeratedly, "Is that so? She is even angry with you? Aya, did she encounter something troublesome, too?" After saying that, she looked around and then stuck her head over. She whispered, I heard that her brother was arrested a few days ago. 2. Lu Haiying immediately widened her eyes and said, "What? Really? Because of what, too?" When sister-in-law Wu heard that, she continued with a gossipy look. "I heard it was because he stole someone's things, too." As soon as she said that, sister-in-law of the wilderness refuted, "No, no. I heard it was because he stole someone too." "What? Are you serious, too?" As soon as she finished her sentence, another person opened her mouth and said, "What you guys said is not right. I heard that it was because he got into a fight with someone. I heard that he got into a fight really badly, too." Therefore, everyone continued to talk about it one after another. The topic became more and more irrelevant. From how badly Kong, Xiao Qiao got beaten up, how miserable she cried, to the old story of Kong, Xiao Qiao's mother's family. It was just an old story point, too. As they talked, that lady surnamed Wu's nose moved a little. Then she sniffed and said, Hey, you guys stop for a moment. Stop for a moment. Do you smell anything, too?" Lu Haiying teased, "What smell? You dog knows, what do you smell now? I really have to hand it to you. You know what dishes are cooked in their house, even though you're a few streets away, too." Before she could finish, sister-in-law Wu hurriedly interrupted her and said, Don't talk. Let me smell, too." Everyone laughed when they saw her, but they stopped and looked at her quietly. Then, sister-in-law Wu opened her mouth and said, "It's the smell of meat. The smell of meat is too fragrant. It's more fragrant than the other meat I smell. It's getting stronger. You guys smell it too, right, too?" When everyone heard that, they also sniffed their noses. Zhao Xiaolan sniffed it, but it was only faintly discernible. She frowned and said, "It's already past mealtime. Who's still cooking meat to eat, too?" When Wang Xiuhua heard that, she frowned and turned to look at Kong, Xiao Qiao's house. Could be her house, because only her house bought meat. When she looked at Kong, Xiao Qiao's chimney, it was indeed still smoking point, too. When everyone saw Wang Xiuhua turn her head, they also looked over. Then they all fell silent. Aunt Wu was still using her nose to sniff. Then she said loudly, "It's over here. The fragrance is coming from over here. It's getting stronger and stronger. It's really fragrant. It's getting too." 10 minutes later, the fragrance of the meat had spread far away. Everyone in Wang Xiuhua's courtyard was very silent. They were thinking that Kong, Xiao Qiao, might have been beaten to a pulp. However, in the blink of an eye, she had started eating meat. Wasn't this a slap in the face? Which wife would have meat to eat after being beaten? Moreover, the meat was really delicious. It was even better than the food cooked in the restaurants in the city. The smell made them drool. It was not their fault for being greedy. It was just that this era was too poor, or some places were rich, while their place was too poor. Adults could tolerate it, but children could not. Lu Haiying's Godan smelled it and ran over. He hugged Lu Haiying's thigh and began to cry point, too. Mom, I want to eat meat. I want to eat meat, too. Too." It was very rhythmic. He opened her mouth and began to roar. Lu Haiying was so angry that her face turned green. She also knew how embarrassing it was. Therefore, when she was angry, she vented her anger on the child and gave little Go Dan a good beating point, too. Immediately, there was a burst of cries like that of a pig being slaughtered in the yard. Then everyone tried to persuade each other one by one. The harmonious and beautiful atmosphere just now disappeared in an instant. Meanwhile, Zhao Xiulan, who was at the side, looked even uglier. She fixed her eyes on Kong, Xiao Qiao's yard, and clenched her fists tightly. Kong Xiao Qiao and Louis Chen, whom everyone was so concerned about, were currently eating happily around the dining table. Looking at the soft and glutinous meat on the dining table, the rich fragrance, the fat but not greasy, thin but not firewood, and the bright red color of the braised pork with potatoes, Kong Xiaoqiao could not help but salivate. She gently picked up a small piece and placed it in her mouth, slowly chewing. Fragrant. It was really too fragrant. The fragrant Kong Xiaoqiao was about to cry. How long had it been since she had eaten such delicious meat? 10 years? 20 years, too. She didn't know how long she had been a drifter. In any case, during her years as a drifter, what she yearned for the most was to be able to eat a good meal. Braised pork was her first choice, and now that she had really eaten it, it was really great. Louis Chen also didn't expect Kong Xiaoqiao to have such a skill. This braised pork was comparable to a chef, and it was very rare for him to be able to eat such a delicious dish. Thus, it was like a whirlwind sweeping through the clouds. When Kong Xiaoqiao looked over, well, it was already halfway gone. She didn't have the time to continue being intoxicated and also let go of her stomach to eat. The two of them were like in a competition, neither giving way to the other point too. However, even so, the two of them still ate in a refined manner. It was just that one could see the murderous intent in each other's eyes. Kong Xiaoqiao's meal gave Louis Chen a big surprise. He was not a monk who did not eat meat. On the contrary, he was a young man in his early 20s. He could eat and loved to eat. Moreover, because of his job, his intake of meat was even greater. Naturally, the ministry would not lose an elite like him. However, the taste was not so satisfactory. At this moment, after eating Kong Xiaoqiao's dishes, Louis Chen licked his lower lip. He looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, who was wiping the corner of her mouth with a handkerchief. He narrowed his eyes and thought, this wife is not so useless. At the very least, her cooking skills are definitely not bad. No wonder she dared to say that to capture a man's heart, she must first capture his stomach. Cough, cough. Previously, he thought that she was just putting it off. He did not expect her to be so capable. This girl was really persistent with him. Hence, the way he looked at Kong Xiaoqiao changed point too. 2. If Kong Xiaoqiao found out about this, she would definitely spit out a mouthful of blood. Please, big brother, big sister's words were really just perfunctory, okay? Please don't take it seriously. Please don't take it seriously. Big sister just wanted to take a bite out of you and use you as a shield. After wiping the corner of her mouth, Kong Xiaoqiao saw Louis Chen looking at her in a different way. She was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but blink her eyes. F***CK. Is there something wrong with this person? Why is he looking at her so fixedly? 2. Then she looked at the bowls and chopsticks on the table and the bowl of vegetables, especially the bowl of... There wasn't even a drop of soup left. Could it be 2? Before Kong Xiaoqiao could say anything, Louis Chen straightened his sitting posture again. He adjusted his collar with his left hand and coughed twice, saying, ahem, that the dishes are not bad, 2. The corner of Kong Xiaoqiao's mouth twitched as she thought to herself, you don't have to say it. Just look at the speed at which you're eating. I know it clearly in my heart. D***MN, you've taken away all this little meat, too. However, Kong Xiaoqiao still very cooperatively smiled and said, I don't know anything. I just made it randomly. I made it randomly. If it wasn't for your help, I wouldn't have been able to do it so well. 2. Kong Xiaoqiao thought to herself that her culinary skills were as good as a chef's, so naturally, it wasn't bad. However, this host didn't know anything at all. If she suddenly knew it, it would arouse suspicion. She hadn't thought of this before and only wanted to eat it. But now, she had to think more about it. Otherwise, wouldn't that be creating trouble for herself? So too, Louis Chen didn't expect Kong Xiaoqiao to be so modest. When he was her age, he couldn't be so modest. If he was praised, it would be good enough if he didn't raise his little tail. Who hadn't been young and frivolous? It was really rare to be able to be so unassuming and calm point too. Therefore, he couldn't help but say in a gentler tone, you don't have to be modest. Your dishes are indeed good. No, very good, too. It could be said that it wasn't easy to receive such a degree of praise from Louis Chen. However, Kong Xiaoqiao intentionally dragged him into the water, so modesty was inevitable. After Louis Chen said this, he thought for a moment and took out a small amount of notes from his pocket. Other than the messy tickets, he also gave her a stack of Unity notes. Then, he pushed these to Kong Xiaoqiao's side and said, I just received my allowance and bonus today. I still have some savings. I'll bring the notes over later. From now on, these will be under your control. 2. I'll eat breakfast and lunch in the ministry canteen most of the time. I'll be back on time for dinner. 2. Tell me what kind of simple stove you want. Also, our cupboard has been burned. We need to make a new one. If you need anything, just tell me and we'll do it together. 2. Louis Chen said a lot more after that, but Kong Xiaoqiao didn't come back to her senses. Looking at the small stack of yuan in her hand, she was dumbfounded. How could he just give it to her like that, too? Come on, they had only known each other for 2 days, okay? Wasn't this too hasty? Could it be that the people in the old society were all so, real, too? Kong Xiao couldn't accept it, so she hurriedly waved her hand and said, that, you take back the money and everything. I don't care about this, too. Oh, and I will return the 30 yuan you gave me this morning. You too. To be honest, facing Louis Chin's unexpected trust, Kong Xiao was very caught off guard, but her heart was filled with mixed feelings. She didn't think she was a particularly good person. In her previous life, she had been in and out of the business world, scheming against each other. If you didn't cheat others, others would cheat you. Although she didn't take the initiative to hurt others, but before she died, she was able to drag that pair of dogs and woman down with her, which meant she wasn't a pure-hearted person. When she was ruthless, she wouldn't care about anything. Point two. In all her years of life, no one had ever taken the initiative to hand over all of their assets to her. She had seen too many of them. Couples arguing over money, scheming against each other, setting each other up and following each other, and so on, too. For money, brothers could turn against each other. Biological father and son would fight against each other, let alone outsiders. Of course, didn't she end up with a disfigured face and crippled legs because of money? 2. All of this was caused by money, but what was more terrifying was the human heart. The small stack of notes in his hands were actually not worth much. Louis Chin's allowance in this era was considered high, at least higher than that of the pork seller. A pork seller had already grown like that. To be able to marry a virgin at such an old age, and the woman felt so honored. Louis Chin was a very popular figure point too. However, in Kong Xiao's eyes, this was really pitiful. It was not even enough for her to drink a cup of tea. However, this was all of Louis Chin's belongings. The words of the wilderness people directly renewed their promise, so they would definitely hand it in the future. However, Kong Xiao felt that it was worth a lot. What was this? This was trust, too. The weight of trust was too heavy, and she could not afford it. As for what Louis Chin thought of her, too, if it was the Kong Xiao of her previous life, she would be full of confidence, thinking that this person definitely had designs on her. However, in this life, she did not have two tails of meat on her. She did not have money, and she did not have face. Other than the original owner's demonic harassment of Louis Chin, there really did not seem to be anything else that she could bring out. Could it be because of her meal? Could it be that this cold and aloof brother wilderness in front of her was a foodie? 2. Could it be that this sister's meal had captured him? 2. Kong Xiao seemed to have found out the truth. Louis Chin was good in everything else, and his self-control was even better. However, he was very persistent about this food. His little allowance had been spent on food. When he first came here, he had once for a meal, walked more than 20 miles without fear of the cold. What kind of spirit was that, too? Well, in Kong Xiao's eyes, it was probably just nerves. If she knew about it, she might even admire him for a while. He was very persistent in order to eat. However, at this moment, Kong Xiao did not think about what would happen between her and Louis Chin. In her eyes, this was just a temporary place to stay. She was used to drifting and settling down. She could live quite well anywhere. However, she was very clear that this would not be the end of her life. Point two. She was not a well-behaved person. She could not stay here forever. Since she had to start all over again, she naturally had to live a more exciting life. She was used to being willful. She could not stand such a bitter life. Of course, her experience was okay. She did not want to live like this forever. Point two. But before she could finish speaking, Louis Chin's face turned cold. He frowned at her and said seriously, "If I want you to take it, then take it. Why do you have to talk so much nonsense, too? I gave you living expenses this morning. Which one of them is for you to return? I, Louis Chin, can still afford to raise my own wife. Don't say such things in the future, too. No matter what the reason is, since you were married to me, we have to live a good life in the future. What do you mean by yours and mine? In the future, don't do such things. All right, take it well." After saying that, Louis Chin stuffed the money that Kong Xiao put back into his hands. Kong Xiao was still lamenting just now. But in the blink of an eye, she couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth. F***CK. Now I'm saying that I don't care about you, and I should just live a good life. Then, the way you avoided the host previously, what does that mean, too? Also, why does this person's words sound so unpleasant? I'm not your subordinate, yet you actually gave me an order. Kong Xiaoqiao was a bit of a soft-hearted person. If you were hard, she would be harder than you. This was the result of many years of life experience, and she was like a little hedgehog. Therefore, she instantly stood up and glared at him. She put the money on the table and said, I said I don't want it, so I don't want it. Do you think I'm being polite with you? Also, I'll return your money this morning. I don't like to owe people favors. Humph, too. After saying that, she looked at Louis Chen with her big eyes. There was no fear or timidity at all. However, Kong Xiaoqiao's action made Louis Chen stunned for a moment. He was really a little surprised. By the way, didn't you want to marry me so that you could live a better life? You had the government's food to eat. Didn't this woman marry a man for food, clothing, and transportation? All right, now you want to draw a line with me. What does this girl mean? Why is he getting more and more confused about her? Is this because I'm too good to her? Is her tail sticking up to the sky? 2. Which girl doesn't want to monopolize the financial power after marrying someone? He did this because Kong Xiaoqiao was so attentive to him. Of course, he also took the initiative to pay the allowance because he accidentally hurt her. But he didn't expect that not only did he not receive praise, but he was even despised. He was actually despised. Point 2. Of course, he would never admit that it was because of Kong Xiaoqiao's meal that he changed his mind. Louis Chen was also a proud person, so he was instantly unhappy. After narrowing his eyes, he changed his posture. Now, he was not in a hurry. Being a pillar was not business. This little tree could not be repaired directly, and people could not be repaired valiantly. Therefore, he poured himself a glass of water and slowly took a sip. He sized up Kong Xiaoqiao from top to bottom. The problem of a poisonous snake was acting up again. Point 2. You don't want it. You don't want to care about it, right? 2. Kong Xiaoqiao saw the change in Louis Chen. She blinked her big eyes, then shook her head and answered firmly, No, I don't care. 2. She didn't want to have anything to do with Louis Chen right now. Although they were now a legal couple, Kong Xiaoqiao wasn't aware of it yet. Moreover, the term husband and wife was still unfamiliar to Kong Xiaoqiao. In her previous life, she was married. In the end, before the wedding was over, she too. The reason why Louis Chen was so relieved to give the family assets to Kong Xiaoqiao was not because he had too many people, but because it was a lifelong thing for people nowadays to get married. Divorce? That would be like a landslide or an earthquake. Moreover, he was in a military marriage. As long as he wanted to continue living in the ministry, this problem of his style was the most important thing. Moreover, there were those who were eyeing him covetously. Otherwise, why did you think that he would jump into the pit and marry Kong Xiaoqiao, the troublemaker, when he knew that he was being cheated? Why did he jump into the pit and marry Kong Xiaoqiao, too? However, Louis Chen knew that the original owner definitely did not know, and Kong Xiaoqiao was not interested in knowing now. Louis Chen quietly looked at Kong Xiaoqiao for another 2 seconds, then narrowed his eyes and said, You really don't want it? 2. Kong Xiaoqiao was a little impatient, but the more annoying she was, the sweeter her smile became. So, she smiled and said, I really don't want it. You'd better keep it well. I have a bad memory. It would be a pity if I lost it, too. Kong Xiaoqiao also realized that this man could not be directly rejected, or else he would lose face. Although Louis Chen was still a young man in his early 20s, the younger the boy, the more he cared about his face. She still had to stay here for a few more days. Therefore, it was better not to provoke him too much. Louis Chen saw that Kong Xiaoqiao was starting to say soft words, but he was not moved at all. He took another sip of water and said, If that's the case, it's fine if you don't accept it. However, you keep saying that you want to return my money. I wonder when you plan to return it? How to? After saying this, he narrowed his eyes and looked at Kong Xiaoqiao. WH2. Kong Xiaoqiao could not help but be stunned. Then, her face turned red. Then, her face was full of anger and embarrassment. Then, she fiercely bit her lower lip. This D***MN Louis Chen, he He did this on purpose. Look at his expression, too. Isn't it just 30 yuan? Sister still lacks his 30 yuan? When has this sister ever gone back on her word? 2. But it was just 30 yuan. Kong Xiaoqiao's face turned red from holding back. It was really hard to beat a hero with a single cent. A tiger had fallen to the level of the sun and was bullied by a dog. Moreover, he was a cold and ruthless military dog. No, bah, he was not as cute as a military dog. Point 2. Kong Xiaoqiao was angry when she saw Lu Yiqin looking like he was watching a good show. D***min, you Lu Yiqin, why didn't I see your potential to be so black-bellied before? 2. Kong Xiaoqiao's face turned red. Then, she raised her chin and looked proud. She said perfunctorily in a bad tone, "Isn't it just 30 yuan? I'll return it to you in a few days, too." Lu Yiqin looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, who was so angry that her face turned red. He could not help but smile. He was not so angry anymore. Instead, he wanted to tease this girl. After listening to her words, he pretended to be deep and said, "Oh, 30 yuan, too. Your living expenses these few months are not only 30 yuan. Just the rice grains that your mother took from our house are also quite a lot of money. Don't you plan to return them all in one piece, too?" 2. Kong Xiaoqiao almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This D***min Lu Yiqin. She didn't expect him to settle a small score with her. As expected, a little man can't be wanted. Stingy. Point 2. Kong Xiaoqiao twitched the corner of her mouth, gritted her teeth, and said, Pay it back in one piece, too." She really didn't know what sin she had committed. The original owner was also a prodigal. Although Kong Xiaoqiao didn't care about this bit of money, she was now penniless. The only bit of money she had was from this creditor in front of her. She knew how to make money, but she had just arrived here and was unfamiliar with the place. She didn't know all the roads, and she didn't know many people. Most of them were people who had a hard time with her. F***. She was also very helpless, too. No, the matter of making money had to be put on the agenda. Life without money was really depressing. However, distant water couldn't quench the thirst of the near. She began to regret it now. She had no choice but to bow her head under the eaves just now. Han Xin was still suffering from the humiliation of his crotch. She only cared about money for a few days. How big of a deal was that? Now, she had fallen into a pit. She had no way to reason with him. The words she had said would be swallowed, even if her front teeth were broken. The more she thought about it, the uglier Kong Xiaoqiao's expression became. Meanwhile, Lu Yiqin narrowed his eyes and said with a slight smile, "Oh, return it. All right, since you were so insistent, I won't make things difficult for you. I'll take care of these things myself, too. But how many days do you want to return it, too?" 2. At this moment, Kong Xiaoqiao's eyes were about to spit fire. "Lu Yiqin, do you have to be so inhumane?" Lu Yiqin looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, who had a face full of anger. His deep pool-like eyes flashed with a bright light. His attitude was the same as before, and his tone was indifferent. However, Kong Xiaoqiao could hear the gloating tone in his tone. Lu Yiqin said again, "What's wrong with you? I promised to let you pay back the money. Why aren't you happy, too? Oh, I remember now. If you want to pay back the money, you have to have a job. Do you want to go to work, too?" Then he frowned and said, "If you want to go to work, just tell me directly. Why beat around the bush, too? It's just that in the department, although we can arrange it, you know that there are only a few positions. There are many sister-in-law in the courtyard. We have to arrange the number first, and those families that are in trouble have to be arranged first. You have to allow me to mention this matter to the department, too." Hearing this, Kong Xiaoqiao's face softened. She blinked her eyes and nodded obediently. She did not lack that job. How much money could she earn from a job? There was almost no meat left for her to eat. What she needed now was time. Point 2. She had to seize the time to think of ways to earn money. Since Lu Yiqin said so, she might as well go with the flow. However, what Lu Yiqin said next almost choked Kong Xiaoqiao to death. Lu Yiqin saw that Kong Xiaoqiao nodded, and the corners of his mouth could not help but curl up slightly. His eyes were full of smiles as he said, "Hey, I also know that you have a strong character. I can tell from the fact that you don't accept the living expenses that I give you. If I let you stay at home all day and have nothing to do while waiting for work to be arranged, I guess you won't feel good. I have a good idea, too. What did he mean? Kong Xiaoqiao's mind was full of question marks. She blinked her big eyes, looked at Louis Chin, and said, "Are you that kind-hearted, too?" Louis Chin pursed his lips and continued, "Since you don't want to be idle and can't pay me back soon, then let's do it this way. I see that your culinary skills are pretty good. Take this money and treat it as food expenses. I want to be able to eat such delicious food every day. I'll leave this difficult task to you. If you have something to do, it will save you from having a guilty conscience, too." Buffed. You F** king have a guilty conscience. Your entire family has a guilty conscience point, too. Kong Xiaoqiao was instantly enraged. She glared at the sanctimonious brat in front of her and shouted, "Lu Yiqin, too." Lu Yiqin frowned when he heard this. He gently touched his ear and said, "Why are you shouting so loudly? I can hear you, too." Kong Xiaoqiao was so angry that she gritted her teeth and said, "You Lu Yiqin, don't even think about it. I'm not going to be your cook. Don't even think about it." Too. Lu Yiqin wasn't angry. He looked at Kong Xiaoqiao as if she was an angry kitten. The more he looked at her, the more he found it interesting. He narrowed his eyes and took a sip of water. He said slowly, "Someone said that she wanted to return the money. I'm thinking of you. Why don't you return the money now, too?" Kong Xiaoqiao was so angry that she immediately stood up. She glared at Lu Yiqin and said fiercely, "Lu Yiqin, you too." Lu Yiqin spread his hands innocently. That meant that she was the one who wanted to return the money. Weren't you able to do it? Wasn't she very capable? Then why did she ask for the money, too? Huh. She actually dared to refuse him. She really had a lot of guts point, too. Kong Xiaoqiao was angry for a long time. She glared at Lu Yiqin and said, "Lu Yiqin, you are a man. You are not a gentleman, too." Lu Yiqin was unmoved and said, "I am thinking for you. Don't bite Lu Dongbin and not recognize the kindness of others, too." Kong Xiaoqiao gritted her teeth and said, "What? A little man is so petty." Humph, too. Lu Yiqin's face turned black when he heard that. He said coldly, "What did you say, too?" Kong Xiaoqiao looked at Lu Yiqin's dangerous eyes and could not help but swallow her saliva. Forget it. Why bother to lower herself to his level? Just cook. She originally wanted to cook something delicious point, too. Kong Xiaoqiao rolled her eyes and thought to herself, "Since he is so eager, then I will let him have his way." No matter how powerful she was, she had to recognize the reality. The reality was that she was unfamiliar with this place and only had an acquaintance in front of her. From the looks of it, he could be considered reliable. It had always been others who wanted to take advantage of her. Now, for the first time, someone was begging her to take advantage of him. This feeling, too. Why did it feel like she was being forced to do something? This passive feeling was really annoying point, too. Too. If Xiao Xiaolan found out about Kong Xiaoqiao's thoughts, she would probably be furious. She was thinking of ways to gain economic power, but her man just pretended to be dumb and ignored her, not to mention cooking something delicious. The living expenses given to her were calculated meticulously. Looking at Kong Xiaoqiao, she wouldn't even accept a poll. This person was infuriating. Of course, this person's experience was different. Their realms were different, so there was a difference in their horizons. Kong Xiaoqiao really didn't want to cause trouble for herself because of this small amount of money in front of her. She had lived an open and above-board life, all her life. She was never willing to owe anyone a favor, especially men. But now, she was forced to bend over for this small amount of money. It would be strange if she was happy. Thus, she glared at Lu Yiqin and said, "It's nothing. I said I'll cook. When the time comes, don't regret it, too." Then, she reached out to pick up the money on the table and counted it. She pouted and looked at Lu Yiqin and said, "Since you want me to cook, then I'll decide what to eat. What I cook, you eat, too." After saying that, she raised her small chin and looked at Lu Yiqin proudly point, too. Seeing that Kong Xiaoqiao had given in, Lu Yiqin's expression softened and he nodded slightly. He could see clearly that this girl was also a foodie. For this braised pork to be able to cook to such an extent, it meant that her skills were superior. She definitely did not only know how to cook such a dish point, too. With Kong Xiao Xiao's level, no matter what she did, it would definitely be better than the food in the canteen. It was rare to meet an expert in cooking. For the sake of his stomach, he would let her go. Kong Xiao Xiao saw that Lui Chen had agreed, so she narrowed her eyes. After her long eyelashes trembled, she said a bunch of things that she wanted in one breath. The more Lui Chen listened, the more he frowned. Forget about the pots, pans, and cooking utensils. This girl was just gesturing and drawing a sketch. Lui Chen took the sketch, which was covered with lines, and looked at Kong Xiao Xiao with a frown. He said coldly, "Is this the simple stove that you said, too?" Kong Xiao Xiao's face was not red, and her heart was not beating. She blinked her eyes and said with dissatisfaction, "It's a little bad, but the conditions are tough now. There's no other way. Let's make do with it, too." Lui Chen's eyes twitched when he heard that. This was called bad? Then there was nothing good point, too. So he narrowed his eyes and picked up the design drawing again. He placed it in front of him and looked at it carefully before saying, "The drawing is not bad, but who taught you this, too?" It was not that Lui Chen had never been to Kong Xiao Xiao's house, but he was not particular about it. It was no different from a normal civilian's house. But what was this girl thinking? Every day was strange point, too. In the past, she was a strange person, but now she was strange in everything she did. Kong Xiao Xiao's eyes shrank when she was asked this question. Then, she lowered her head to look at the other blueprint in her hand and said, "Why do you care who taught me? Why do you have so many things to do? This is what you said. If you want to do something, then do it together. Why? Are you going back on your word now, too? Are you starting to feel sorry for the money? Why don't I return it to you, too?" Lui Chen's face darkened when he heard this. He continued in an unpleasant tone, "Who's feeling sorry for the money? Hurry up. What else do you have? Don't talk nonsense, too." Kong Xiao Xiao looked at the black-faced Lui Chen. She was not afraid at all. Instead, she curled her lips and continued, "And this, too." Lui Chen took it and looked at it. He frowned and asked, "Why are you making a big wooden bucket, too?" Kong Xiao Xiao glared at him when she heard this. "What do you mean by a big wooden bucket? This is called a bath bucket. Bath bucket. Do you understand, too?" Then, under Lui Chen's dark gaze, Kong Xiao Xiao continued, "It's almost summer. The weather here is so hot. There's no need to take a bath, too." Lui Chen's face was cold. "There's a public bathroom, too." Kong Xiao Xiao immediately frowned when she heard that. "I don't want to go, too." Just as Lui Chen was about to blow up the temple, Kong Xiao Xiao's expression immediately changed. She said pitifully, "He Chen, too. Speak properly, too. Chen, I want to take a bath at home and soak in the warm bath bucket. It's so comfortable. If I go to the public bathroom, there'll be so many people and I'll have to queue up. When I come back after taking a bath, it'll be no different from not taking a bath, too. Chen, too." Just like that, under Kong Xiao Xiao's persuasion, Lui Chen took Kong Xiao Xiao's drawing and left. Kong Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, had a smile on her face as she went to tidy up the warehouse because the simple kitchen had to be set up here. In Wang Shuahua's yard, there was still a child beating scene. Because of Godan's crying, Lu Haiying lost a lot of face, so she dragged Godan and gave him a good beating. The other sisters-in-law in the wilderness were trying to stop and persuade her. When they saw Lui Chen leaving the house, they stopped point two. However, when the adults stopped, the child would not stop crying. In fact, Kong Xiao Xiao had heard the child crying a long time ago, but she did not know why the child was crying so much. Everyone saw that Lui Chen had just left when Kong Xiao Xiao left with a smile on her face. Where was the trace of being beaten? Everyone's expression became worse. Only Wang Shuahua's expression was better. At this moment, she was hugging her timid little daughter, Yuan Yuan. When she saw Kong Xiao Xiao, before she could say anything, a person rushed to the fence in front of her. With an anxious expression, she shouted at Kong Xiao Xiao's courtyard, "Hey, little sister Xiao Xiao, have you finished eating, too?" Kong Xiao Xiao was stunned by the question. This person looked a little familiar, but not very familiar. However, she did not hit the smiling person, so she smiled and said, "Yes, I just finished eating, too." Kong Xiao Xiao only smiled politely. She did not have any intention of having a deep conversation with her. However, she did not expect that person to act so familiar and directly continued loudly. Little sister Xiao Qiao, did you eat me at your house for lunch, too? Kong Xiao Qiao was stunned when she heard that. This person was really interesting. No one would ask what she ate. However, she still smiled politely and nodded. She had originally planned to go over like this, but that person then said, loudly with an envious look, Io, little sister Xiao Qiao is really good at cooking. Why didn't I see it before, too? This meat is made from the ground. It's really fragrant. After so many years, it's the first time I've smelled such a fragrant meat smell. TSK, too. After saying that, she swallowed her saliva. This person was none other than the sister-in-law Wu, who had a particularly sharp nose and looked like a small earth tank. Her name was Wu Xiaoyan. Point 2. As soon as Wu Xiaoyan said that, Lu Haiying was displeased. She directly said, Bah, if I had meat that was made better than her, wouldn't I just have a meal? What's so great about it, too? After saying that, she rolled her eyes and said with a displeased tone, Yinzi, can you not be so greedy? If you see any good food, you have to ask. So what if you ask? What if she can give it to you, too? My Go Dan is crying like this, but I haven't seen her give him a bite. TSK, she's so stingy to children. Don't think about it, too. Hearing Lu Haiying's words, Wu Xiaoyan's face immediately turned red. Then, she retorted, Bah, even if I bring you a cart of meat, you can only make it stink. I'm not looking down on you, but we've been together for so many years. Who doesn't know what's going on, too? What are you pretending for? If you have the time to control your child properly, how old are you? You still want to eat? Aren't you ashamed, too? Hearing this, Lu Haiying could not take it anymore. She turned to Wu Xiaoyan and shouted, Who are you talking about? Say it again, too. Wu Xiaoyan was not a person who was afraid of trouble. She straightened her back and shouted, I'm talking about you. What? Are you fighting? I'm afraid of you. I've been unhappy with you for a long time. I've never seen such a shameless person like you. 2. The tense atmosphere immediately rose. The two of them could erupt into a war at any time. Kong Xiaoqiao, who was standing at the door, was dumbfounded. Wasn't she complimenting her cooking? Why? In the blink of an eye, the two of them were going to fight. 2. When Wang Xuehua saw that, she frowned and hurriedly went forward to pull Lu Haiying aside. She said, Aya, what are you doing? It's not a big deal. You're quarreling all the time. All right, stop quarreling. Wang Xuehua was in a bad mood. Why were these people always quarreling? And they were all quarreling at her house. It was really enough. Point 2. Zhao Xiaolan was naturally not idle. She pulled Wu Xiaoyan's arm and tried to persuade her, Sister-in-law Wu, please calm down. To be honest, I didn't expect that Sister Xiao Qiao's cooking would be so delicious. 2. She has been in the family courtyard for quite some time. It's really well hidden. I didn't expect her to have such good cooking skills. She said she didn't know how to cook. Could she be joking with us, too? Zhao Xiaolan's move to change the topic was really good. Originally, the two of them were about to fight, but this time, the topic was changed back to Kong Xiaoqiao. Kong Xiaoqiao, who was in the courtyard, couldn't help but squint her eyes. How blind was the original owner? Such a vicious woman actually treated her as a good friend, a best friend, and even listened to her every word. It was really two. The two people who were about to make their move heard Zhao Xiaolan's words, and, as expected, they stopped fighting with each other, especially Lu Haiying. In fact, she hated Kong Xiaoqiao the most, so she immediately took over the conversation. She said disdainfully, Pa, shameless be asterisk starred. I told you she set the fire on purpose, but you didn't believe me. Humph, too. She cooks so well. How could she not know how to set the fire? Who was she kidding, too? Although the others didn't say anything, they all looked at Kong Xiaoqiao. She had been here for so long, but she really hadn't set the fire once. She had cooked a meal and went to the cafeteria every day. Of course, this was also one of the reasons why Zhao Xiaolan looked down on Kong Xiaoqiao. She did nothing and did nothing every day. Lu Yichen actually gave her money to go to the cafeteria to eat, while she worked like a cow and horse every day to save money. At night, she had to serve Wei Bin, who was as strong as a bull and never knew when he was full. Her complexion was especially bad. The last thing Zhao Xiaolan wanted to do right now was to spend the night. Fortunately, Her Wei Bin had gone on a mission these few days and was not at home. Otherwise, she would probably spend the entire morning on the Kong point too. There was no comparison, no harm. Her resentment towards Kong Xiaoqiao could not be any deeper. This woman's jealousy was quite scary. Kong Xiaoqiao had long known that it was mediocre to not be envied by others. Kong Xiaoqiao had experienced the public enemy of women a long time ago, so she could see people clearly with just a glance. Moreover, compared to the actors that Kong Xiaoqiao had met in her previous life, Zhao Xiulan was too childish. There were many people who played behind the scenes. On the surface, they were good friends with you, and there were many people who stabbed you in the back. There were also a group of people who followed the trend like bugs. If they couldn't do it and saw others doing it, they must have used some shady means. However, even if they used all their means, they still couldn't do it in the end. Kong Xiaoqiao felt sad for them. In the beginning, Kong Xiaoqiao would still pay attention to these rats in the gutter. Later, she was too lazy to pay attention to them. A gentleman was magnanimous, but a villain was always worried. Paying attention to them was giving them face. As for these shameless people, she would just ignore them. But now, she couldn't do it. They had already come knocking on her door. How could she let them go? Kong Xiaoqiao narrowed her eyes. Seeing that everyone was looking at her, she could not help but raise her hand to touch her newly cut hair. After blinking her big eyes, she smiled particularly sweetly with a shy little expression. She said lovingly, "Actually, sister-in-law, you've all misunderstood. How could I know these things? Even if I want to make a good meal for Ari Chen, it was just a cavity of hot blood, too. If it wasn't for Ari Chen's help today, I'm afraid that I could not have cooked the rice well. Look at my hair. I didn't understand it when I burned it. In the end, it got burnt and almost got disfigured, too." After saying that, she even made an exaggerated expression of fear. Everyone naturally saw Kong Xiaoqiao's new hairstyle. Her thick bangs covered her full forehead. Of course, these were not the most important things in their eyes. What surprised them was that Lu Chen came to help. Help? How could a man like him help, too? When Lu Haiying heard that, she was the first to be angry. She shouted loudly, "You're talking nonsense. How can Unit Lu help? Does he know how to cook, too?" When Wu Xiaoyan heard this, she also reacted and said, "That's right. I've never heard that Unit Lu knows how to cook, too." After saying this, she turned to Wang Xuehua and asked, "Sister-in-law Wang, your instructor Feng is together with Unit Lu every day. Have you heard that Unit Lu knows how to cook, too?" When Wang Xuehua heard this, she seemed to be deep in thought. Then, she looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, who did not seem to be afraid at all. She also wondered in her heart, could Unit Lu really know how to cook, too? To be honest, Wang Xuehua did not know much about Lu Chen. When she occasionally heard their King Kong chat, she only knew that Lu Chen came from an extraordinary background. However, they did not know what kind of background he had. However, in her opinion, it should not be much of a background. Otherwise, why would he abandon him in such a tough headquarters, too? In Wang Xuehua's opinion, people with connections and background would definitely go to the city. People like her, who came from a grassroots background, would only fight in such a tough place. Therefore, she said ambiguously, "I really don't know about this. However, you guys don't know what men do. It's just cooking. It won't be difficult for them. It's just a matter of whether they are willing to do it or not, too." Wang Xuehua said it casually. However, some people felt bad when they heard it, especially Zhao Xiulan. Her man, Wei Bin, was not only dull and didn't speak much. He didn't even look at the housework, let alone cooking point too. Therefore, she was extremely unhappy and couldn't hide the jealousy in her eyes. She slowly said, "Really? If we say that Unit Lu can cook, we believe it. After all, when they go on a mission, they have to make their own food when necessary. But we don't believe that they can cook such fragrant dishes. It's not something that ordinary people can do, too. We can smell it from outside. This is even more fragrant than the dishes cooked by the cook who got married in our place. Sister Xiaoqiao, actually, we all know that you didn't intentionally set the fire. It's not good to lie for this, too." When the others heard this, they all nodded in agreement. This was because they would rather believe that Kong Xiaoqiao was lying to them in order to shirk her responsibility than believe that Lu Yichen would cook such a delicious meal for Kong Xiaoqiao. Therefore, this woman, Zhao Xiaolan, originally thought that Kong Xiaoqiao would be in a hurry to defend herself or get angry. This way, it would confirm that she was lying. This originally bad reputation would be added to point 2. Of course, if it was the original owner, she would definitely be so anxious that her face would turn red. Zhao Xiaolan understood the original owner better. Unfortunately, the person she met was not the original owner, but Kong Xiaoqiao. Therefore, she was destined to be disappointed. Kong Xiaoqiao turned to look at Zhao Xiaolan, narrowed her eyes, and said helplessly, "You don't believe that, too?" Everyone nodded at Kong Xiaoqiao. Before anyone could say anything, Kong Xiaoqiao continued, "Then you can ask Ari Chen. Do you think I'm lying to you too?" Puffed. Too. What kind of joke was this? Asking them to ask Lu Yichen? With Lu Yichen's cold face, looking at everyone with cold eyes, too. Some people wanted to ask, but unfortunately, they did not have the courage. Kong Xiaoqiao said it so casually that everyone was speechless. Since she had asked them to ask, she was definitely not afraid to ask. Looking at how confident she was, it did not seem like she was lying. At this time, some of the sisters-in-law in the wilderness believed her, especially Wu Xiaoyan. She said with an envious expression, "Xiao Xiao is really lucky, too. Let's not talk about how handsome our team leader Lu is. He has ability, looks, and everything he wants. Even his cooking smells so good. He really doesn't want us to live anymore. Too. Tell me they both men, but that damned oil bottle of mine didn't even hold it when it fell. How could he cook for you? You are so beautiful, too." At this time, other wilderness wives also chimed in with resentment. "That's right. Our men, even more so. He doesn't even look at it. I have to take care of everything at home. I have to take care of the children and cook. I also have to do housework. TSK, too." The other wilderness wives opened up just like that. Lu Haiying was so angry that she didn't know what to say. On the other hand, Zhao Xiaolan's face was livid. What was wrong with this Kong Xiaoqiao? How could there be accidents everywhere? Too. Before she could react, Wu Xiaoyan teased, All right. Who doesn't live like this? If you want a man like Unit Lu, you have to have a face like Xiaoqiao's, too. TSK. The newlyweds are indeed different. I didn't expect Unit Lu to be such a person. He actually dotes on his wife. Haha. Unlike us, we are an old married couple. Let's not embarrass ourselves here, too. When the other wilderness wives heard this, they also laughed and said, "That's right. Unit Lu is the only man who cooks for his wife. No, when I go home, I have to talk to my husband. We have been married for so many years. Not only does he have to cook for me, he also has to bring me firewood, too." When Wu Xiaoyan heard that, she casually pushed the wife of the wilderness and said with a smile, "All right, who doesn't know who is who? Your husband is good enough. He even helps you clean your yard when he's free, too." When the wife of the wilderness heard that, she looked proud. She glared at Wu Xiaoyan and said, "TSK, your man is helping you empty the dirty bucket. It's as if I didn't see it, too." At this moment, the people were more chauvinistic, and the people in the ministry were even more chauvinistic. Although they now advocated to love their wives, after all, it was hard to be a wife of the wilderness. Even if it hurt, they would hide it. They would never let others know that they were masters outside. Otherwise, they would be laughed at point 2. The two of them complimented each other, and were both relatively happy. Wu Xiaoyan heard this, and also laughed. Then, she looked at Zhao Xiaolan, narrowed her eyes, and said, "You are both newly married. Sister Xiaolan, how is the guard team treating you? Do they have any sweet words, too?" When the other wife in the wilderness heard this, she laughed out loud and said, "The men in our ministry are all dull-tempered. How is there any need to say it? They are all done with actual actions. Aren't they, Sister Xiaolan, too?" As soon as these words were said, the people around them laughed out loud. At this moment, most of the wives in the wilderness were not cultured. Many of them came from farming families. Moreover, they already had children, so they did not have much scruples when speaking. They were direct and vulgar. There were even some who laughed and said, "Of course. You can tell from the fact that Sister Xiaolan lies on the Kong every morning." She must have done a lot of practical things at night. 2. Everyone started to tease Zhao Xiaolan, while Kong Xiaoqiao watched from the side. The women in this place had nothing to do all day. They would either gossip or gossip every day. Point 2. It was easy for them to say these dirty jokes. Naturally, they did not have much to do with the women who had been married for many years. However, Zhao Xiaolan was a new wife. She was not old, and it was the time for her to be shy. At this moment, it was needless to say how embarrassed she was. Her entire face was flushed red, and that mischievous sister-in-law of the wilderness kept asking questions. However, she usually gave people the impression that she was a well-behaved and reasonable person. At this moment, she could not throw a tantrum, so she could only endure it and pretend to be shy. Point 2. When she saw Kong Xiaoqiao's big eyes looking at her with sparkling eyes, she felt that those eyes were full of naked mockery. Therefore, in a fit of anger, she said, "Sisters-in-law, you don't just ask me. I'm not the only new wife. You can't be biased against one another. Sister Xiaoqiao and I were married at the same time, too." After saying that, Zhao Xiaolan looked at Kong Xiaoqiao. Her eyes were filled with hatred, and she wanted to drag her down with her no matter what. When everyone heard that, they laughed and said, "Oh, are you shy? What's there to be shy about? Everyone has been through this." However, little sister Xiaolan is right, too. Then, she turned to look at Kong Xiaoqiao and said, "Little sister Xiaoqiao, Unit Lu is such a cold person. Is he gentle to you, too? Is there need to ask? Unit Lu could cook such a delicious meal for her. He must be someone who dotes on his wife. He must be very gentle. Do you think he's as rough as you were in the past? He's a cultured person. How can he be like us, too?" Everyone started talking one after another. When Zhao Xiaolan saw that the topic had been changed, she let out a sigh of relief. At the same time, she was secretly gloating over Kong Xiaoqiao's embarrassment. When she turned her head to look at Kong Xiaoqiao, she realized that she was looking at the sisters in the wilderness with wide, confused eyes. She asked curiously, "Sisters-in-law, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What, gentle or not, too?" When everyone heard this, they were stunned. Then, they remembered that this girl and Unit Lu had not consummated their marriage yet. No wonder she could not understand what they were saying. She probably did not know what they were talking about, even after they talked for a long time. They were thick-skinned and couldn't say anything to an ignorant little girl. Meanwhile, Lu Haiying seemed to have finally found a topic to attack Kong Xiaoqiao. She opened her mouth and said anxiously, "Of course you, a person who hasn't consummated her marriage, can't understand what we're saying. TSK, too." They originally thought that Kong Xiaoqiao would be furious, but unexpectedly, Kong Xiaoqiao covered her mouth in horror when she heard that. She looked at Lu Haiying with wide eyes and said, "No way. Consummating a marriage? Is consummating a marriage so scary, too?" Although she looked at Zhao Xiaolan sympathetically and said, "Sister-in-law Xiaolan, I was wondering why you always lie on the Kong in the morning and look so tired. Even when you came out in the afternoon, your legs were not very neat and you walked as if you were floating. There were bruises on your arms and body. It turns out that it's all because of the consummation, too." What? Everyone widened their eyes and looked at Zhao Xiaolan when they heard that. Then, they gave her a look of understanding, and Zhao Xiaolan's face turned red instantly. With an anxious look, she said, "Kong Xiaoqiao, you don't talk nonsense, too." She had never acted in front of others, so everyone only knew that she was lying on the Kong. The reason for lying on the Kong was said to be that she was not feeling well. No one asked in detail about it, so they only joked about it. Point 2. After Kong Xiaoqiao materialized it, everyone began to imagine it. When Kong Xiaoqiao heard it, she said with an injured look, "I'm not talking nonsense. We're always together. How can I be wrong? Especially the chest, too. Kong Xiaoqiao, too." Zhao Xiaolan yelled in exasperation. She really didn't expect Kong Xiaoqiao to be so shameless, telling everyone everything. Kong Xiaoqiao didn't react to Zhao Xiaolan's attitude. Not only was she not afraid, but she even said resentfully, "Sister-in-law Xiaolan, I treat you as a good friend and a good sister. How could you treat me like this, too? Consummating a marriage is such a terrible thing. You actually let me, too." Kong Xiaoqiao paused at this point. Wu Xiaoyan and the others were listening attentively. When they saw that there was no sound, they hurriedly said, "Let you do what?" 2. When Zhao Xiaolan heard this, she was afraid. She quickly stepped forward and said, "Sister Xiaoqiao at 2. Kong Xiaoqiao completely ignored her. She looked at Wu Xiaoyan and said with a grievance, "Sister-in-law Wu, sister-in-law Xiaolan actually asked me to seduce Louis Chen. She asked me to consummate the marriage with him. She said that only by consummating the marriage would I not be chased away." After saying that, she looked angry and then continued to say with extreme grievance, "But I treat her as my best friend. How can she let me do such a terrible thing like consummating a marriage? She even taught me to be like this when I see Louis Chen like this too." After saying that, she made a few seductive poses. Kong Xiaoqiao casually pinched herself. Although her current body was not that strong, her actions were definitely hot, explosive, bold, and flirtatious. In modern society, she would be able to seduce a man's soul. Not to mention in this backward and conservative era point too. When the others saw her, some who had just taken a sip of water spat it out. Then, they looked at Kong Xiaoqiao in a daze. After a while, the entire courtyard burst into laughter. The laughter was deafening. It was so loud that some people couldn't even straighten their backs. Zhao Xiaolan was also dumbfounded. As for that trustworthy sister-in-law of the wilderness, she laughed loudly and asked, "Little sister Xiaoqiao, how was the effect, too?" When Kong Xiaoqiao heard this, she said gloomily, "Didn't you see that I was hospitalized, too?" 2. After everyone heard this, they burst into laughter again. Kong Xiaoqiao's answer was simply too demonic. It made everyone burst into laughter. Although many people who knew about the hospitalization were aware of it, and it wasn't because of this, after hearing Kong Xiaoqiao's words, they felt that the scene was very vivid. All kinds of scenes appeared in everyone's mind. It was because Louis Chen's big ice cube was too straightforward. The image of a veteran cadre was already known by everyone. He wasn't old, but when he did things, he had to follow his rules. Otherwise, he would have to go to the martial arts practice field point too. Cough, cough, that. Almost all those who went up were badly beaten up, so he also had the title of the cold-faced Yama King. However, Kong Xiaoqiao said it like it was a joke, but Zhao Xiaolan's face was getting paler and paler. She knew that her reputation was probably ruined point too. As expected, Wu Xiaoyan covered her mouth and laughed as she said, I really didn't expect that our sister Xiaolan, a person who looks so reserved and refined, would actually be so flirtatious and lascivious behind my back. TSK, I really didn't expect it. 2. The moment she opened her mouth, someone chimed in, "That's right. TSK, you really can't judge a book by its cover." 2. When Wu Xiaoyan heard that, her small eyes emitted a bright light as she continued to comfort Kong Xiaoqiao. "Sister Xiaoqiao, don't be too sad. You and Sister Xiaolan are good friends, so she only told you these things. I reckon that she wouldn't impart this unique skill to an ordinary person." 2. Is it Sister Xiaolan? Ha, 2. The moment Wu Xiaoyan's words left her mouth, the others laughed along with her. Meanwhile, Zhao Xiaolan was so anxious that her face turned pale. With cold sweat all over her forehead, she hurriedly explained, "Sisters-in-law, don't listen to Kong Xiaoqiao's nonsense. Would I teach her all this? I didn't teach her at all. I didn't teach her at all. 2. I only told her to let her keep Unit Lu. I didn't too." Before she could finish, Wu Xiaoyan patted Zhao Xiaolan's shoulder with a face full of smiles and said, Sister Xiaolan, there's no need to explain. We understand. We understand. You're just being kind. You're being kind, too." After saying that, she covered her mouth and laughed again. The other sisters-in-law of the wilderness also laughed, especially Lu Haiying. She laughed and said, "No wonder. Sister Xiaolan, you always lie on the Kong for the whole morning. With you like this? Which man can stand it? No wonder the guards are putting in so much effort. Don't you agree, too?" As she said that, she imitated Kong Xiaoqiao and made a few seductive moves. Although it didn't look like it, it successfully ignited the laughter. Soon after, the sisters-in-law chimed in. "That's right, Sister Xiaolan. Where did you learn all this from, too?" "That's right. A normal family might not know this, too. Maybe they're knowledgeable, too. That's right, too. As the sisters-in-law spoke one after another, Zhao Xiaolan was about to go crazy from anger. Tears fell from her eyes as she kept explaining, but no one believed her. Seeing the disdain in her eyes, she kept saying that she did not need to take it to heart. They would not say it out loud, and this unique skill would definitely not be spread out. Wait a minute. But was this possible? Zhao Xiaolan was very clear that when they left, it wouldn't take more than 15 minutes for a large group of people to probably know. So, she pulled Wang Xuehua anxiously. With a pleading look, she said, Sister-in-law Wang, I really didn't. I didn't. Kong Xiao lied. I didn't teach her these things at all. I didn't too. Sister-in-law Wang, you have to believe me. I really didn't too. Zhao Xiaolan's anxious look scared the little daughter in Wang Xuehua's arms. She cried loudly, and Wang Xuehua wasn't too happy to see it. Wang Xuehua knew what Zhao Xiaolan meant. She wanted her to speak up for her, but could she suppress this matter? Even if she agreed on the surface, it was still spread in the dark. This Zhao Xiaolan was going to be famous. She knew what kind of person Zhao Xiaolan was, and she also knew that if it wasn't for Zhao Xiaolan's instigation, Kong Xiaoqiao definitely wouldn't have seduced Lui Chen. Therefore, although these actions didn't seem like what Zhao Xiaolan taught her, who else could it be, too? However, with Kong Xiaoqiao's current devious appearance, Wang Xuehua didn't dare to be sure, and she also didn't want to get involved in this muddy water. Thus, she said in a bland manner, everyone was just joking. It's fine. It'll be forgotten in 2 days, too. When Zhao Xiaolan saw that Wang Xuehua was speaking like this, her entire person was in a bad mood. When she heard the discussions around her, her entire mind buzzed. At this moment, she turned her head to look at Kong Xiaoqiao with a smile on her face. That way, she could be ridiculed as much as possible. She was instantly enraged. Point 2. She quickly ran to the fence and roared at Kong Xiaoqiao. Kong Xiaoqiao, why did you harm me? 2. I never taught you this. Why did you frame me, too? Zhao Xiaolan's roar successfully shifted their attention to Kong Xiaoqiao. Point 2. However, Kong Xiaoqiao did not need to explain or speak. She only put on an injured expression. Zhao Xiaolan could forget about climbing out of this pit. Those who dared to scheme against her, Kong Xiaoqiao, would naturally not have a good ending. Point 2. What era was this? Those who dared to pose in such a flirtatious and coquettish manner would definitely be drowned by spittle. Point 2. Right now, they were still very conservative, and the problem with their style was even more serious. No matter how well Zhao Xiaolan did in the past, and how well she won the hearts of the people, once this matter came out, she would definitely become the focus of everyone's attention. Point 2. Kong Xiaoqiao had only taken Lui Chen's bicycle back, but she was already being paid attention to. Lu Haiying had found fault with her and insulted her. Moreover, Zhao Xiaolan's cool posture. Did she want to turn the tables? It was probably impossible here. Point 2. This snake wanted to hit 7 inches, and naturally, it had to find her sore spot to deal with Zhao Xiaolan. Didn't she flaunt that she was a good wife every day? She would drag the original owner out as a stepping stone for her, using the original owner's bad character to show off her good qualities. TSK. If it was that silly girl from the original owner, she would be just like that. However, since she dared to scheme against her, then she would leave her name in history. Kong Xiaoqiao's move could be described as ruthless. Point 2. She, Zhao Xiaolan, would unintentionally reveal things to others when she had nothing to do. Every time, she would make the host's reputation worse. Kong Xiaoqiao was merely giving her a taste of her own medicine. However, as long as Kong Xiaoqiao made a move, she would definitely not be able to turn the tables. In this woman's eyes, the enemy would always only be women. If she saw a woman younger and more beautiful than her, she would step on her. She would definitely not show mercy. This was the bad nature of humans. However, the interesting thing was that this Wu Xiaoyan was really a godlike assistant. Kong Xiaoqiao did not know that Wu Xiaoyan had been displeased with Zhao Xiaolan for a long time. She pretended to be virtuous, sensible, and well-behaved every day. It was disgusting to look at her. Now that she had the chance to step on her, she naturally would not let it go. Wu Xiaoyan could not be said to be good or bad. In any case, she was someone who loved to stir up trouble. And now, in this scene, Zhao Xiaolan was in a towering rage. Her eyes were red as she roared at Kong Xiaoqiao. It was completely inconsistent with her usual image of being well-behaved and gentle. Meanwhile, Kong Xiaoqiao was injured in the courtyard. She pursed her lips and did not say a word. The grievance formed a stark contrast point, too. The wives in the wilderness also went forward to pull Zhao Xiaolan. They smiled and sarcastically tried to persuade her. The more they did so, the angrier Zhao Xiaolan became point, too. She was indeed a little clever and was quite good at pretending. However, she was still young and could not keep her cool at this time. Therefore, the scene was quite ugly. Kong Xiaoqiao was watching the show happily. Suddenly, a thunderous voice came by her ear. "What's going on, too?" The crowd fell silent. Even Zhao Xiaolan stood, rooted to the ground. The voice came too suddenly. The voice was so loud that Kong Xiaoqiao's eardrums hurt. Kong Xiaoqiao covered her ears instinctively and looked at the source of the voice point too. A bear-like man stood at the door of her house. It was not an exaggeration to say that this man was 1.9 meters tall. His big body and big eyes really made people's eyes light up. All right, it was scary. This man's looks were really on par with the great King Kong. When she looked at the person standing beside him, Kong Xiaoqiao could not help but blink her eyes, and then the corner of her eyes twitched point too. This man's speed was really fast. He had just gone out not long ago. How did he come back? She saw Lu Yiqin standing beside the great King Kong with a cold expression. His pair of sharp eyes with a cold light shot directly at Kong Xiaoqiao like two sword lights. Kong Xiaoqiao frowned. She felt that this man seemed to be angry, and very angry point too. Kong Xiaoqiao pursed her lips in her heart. This person was not old and had quite a temper. What a waste of his good looks. Didn't he know that when his eyebrows stood up, his angry eyes were very scary? But how did she offend him? Why was he looking at her like that, too? Kong Xiaoqiao was also unhappy. Hence, she glared at him fiercely and then ignored him with a prideful look. When Lu Yiqin saw this, his eyebrows were almost knotted. This stinky girl, why was she everywhere? He had just gone out, and she was able to stir up trouble with such a fart of kung fu. It was really too. Everyone naturally saw the stern and imposing demon god at the side. The big guy beside Lu Yiqin was none other than Wang Shuahua's husband, Feng Gang, and instructor Feng. After a short period of silence, Wu Xiaoyan was the first to speak point two. She was laughing so hard that her teeth could not see her eyes. The small earth-fat's body moved a little. She smiled and said, I was wondering who it was. Such a loud voice, but it gave me a fright. Instructor Feng, can you keep your voice down? Look, Xiaoqiao is scared, too. Kong Xiaoqiao -2. The surrounding sisters-in-law in the wilderness had also recovered from their shock. Lu Haiying also did not want to be outdone and said loudly, Yeah, it scared me to death. Look, it even scared my Godan. He doesn't even cry anymore. When the others heard that, they all burst into laughter. Feng Gang was big and strong. He also had a full beard and was nicknamed the King Kong. That was not for nothing. He was even more famous than Lu Yiqin and could stop children from crying at night point too. All the children were afraid when they saw him. When Godan bullied Yuan, as long as she said her father's name, Godan would immediately restrain himself point two. Feng Gang's two daughters especially adored their father. Just as everyone was laughing, Yuan broke free from Wang Shuahua's embrace and ran to the fence. She grabbed the fence with both hands, and her big eyes were sparkling. She called out in a soft voice, Daddy, Daddy, too. When Feng Gang saw his little daughter, he instantly turned soft. He quickly walked over with 3 steps and 2 steps. When he reached the fence at Kong Xiaoqiao's waist, he walked over with 1 leg and carried the little daughter on his shoulder. He looked as gentle as he could be. When he looked at Kong Xiaoqiao, he was dumbfounded. This, too. When Wang Shuahua saw this, although she did not agree with him, her expression was exceptionally gentle as she complained, Be gentle. Yuan is timid. Don't scare her, too. Feng Gang did not take it seriously at all. He said loudly, It's because she is timid that she needs to train hard. You are a woman. Don't control everything, too. Wang Xiuhua, who was reprimanded, raised her eyes and looked at him. She did not say anything. When outsiders looked, they would probably think that the manager of the house was Feng Gang. Not only did the wives in the wilderness think so, but even Kong Xiaoqiao also thought so. Point two. Feng Gang's image was too deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. In front of a person who spoke without caring about anything, Wang Xiuhua probably did not have a high status in the family either. Point two. Kong Xiaoqiao was unhappy after hearing that. She frowned. Kong Xiaoqiao hated men who did not respect women even more. At this time, Wu Xiaoyan smiled a little awkwardly and said, "Why are you reprimanding your wife for no reason? She's just a little girl. Why is she training her courage, too?" When Feng Gang heard that, he grinned and said brightly, "So what if she's a little girl? She's also my daughter. How can my daughter be a coward? You don't have to care about sister-in-law's matter, too." "Oh, right, I was still talking. What's going on with you guys? Why is Sister Zhao crying here, too?" After saying that, he looked at Zhao Xiaolan and then looked at Kong Xiaoqiao. And Zhao Xiaolan's expression was extremely ugly. What could she say? What else could she say? Would anyone believe her, too? If she continued to act like that, if her man saw her, he might say that she seduced another man. She would only make things worse. Point two. After she calmed down, she immediately realized that she had no room for maneuver. She turned to look at Kong Xiaoqiao in a daze. Then, with an angry expression, her eyes were red and her whole body was trembling. She leaned forward and used all her strength to yell at Kong Xiaoqiao. "Kong Xiaoqiao, why did you frame me like this? Why, too? I treated you so well. How could you treat me like this? I hate you. I won't forgive you, too. Woo, too." After yelling these words, she covered her face, turned around, and ran away crying. And Kong Xiaoqiao equals O equals 2. Then, she curled her lips. With this trick, she could only fool men. The other sisters-in-law in the wilderness also had the same indifferent expression, and Wu Xiaoyan was even more amazing. Looking at Zhao Xiulan, who was running away, she shouted loudly, "Sister Xiulan, don't be sad. Sister Xiaoqiao is an honest person. She shouldn't have shown us the unique skills that you taught her. But don't worry, we definitely won't teach others. Don't blame Sister Xiaoqiao too." Zhao Xiulan, who was still running, staggered and almost fell, but she hated Wu Xiaoyan to the core. This damn B*TCH destroyed the idea that she had finally thought of. Point two. Originally, she wanted to defame Kong Xiaoqiao in front of Lu Yichen, making Lu Yichen hate Kong Xiaoqiao even more. However, Wu Xiaoyan's words had resolved the situation. How could Zhao Xiulan not hate her? However, there was nothing she could do now, because no matter what she did, it would only make things worse. Now that the main character had left, logically speaking, the wilderness wives should also leave. There were indeed some wilderness wives who were in a hurry to spread the new gossip. However, there were also some curious ones who were unwilling to go back just like that. They all stared at each other. Their faces were filled with excitement, as they wanted to see how Lu Yichen would deal with Kong Xiaoqiao. Point two. They only saw Lu Yichen walking over with a frosty expression. His appearance was really frightening. Everyone watched quietly. There were even some whose eyes were glowing. They all felt that this was the prelude to a storm. Kong Xiaoqiao was also a little nervous. She clenched her hands tightly, and her body was also a little tense. In fact, she was also a little afraid. Lu Yichen's appearance was really frightening. No matter what, he was someone who had been on the battlefield, had seen blood, and had an evil aura on his body. How could a young miss like Kong Xiaoqiao, even an arrogant business elite, be able to withstand it, too? However, Kong Xiaoqiao had a good habit. The more nervous she was, and the more scared she was, the sweeter her smile was. At this moment, Kong Xiaoqiao had thick bangs, a small bun on her head, and a pair of big eyes. Her eyelashes fluttered a few times. Although her small face was not white, it was exquisite. When she smiled, there were two small dimples on her face. Her smile was as sweet as the little girl next door. Point two. Then, her voice was also crisp. She said with some surprise, "Ichan, you're back? Why are you back so quickly? Did it go well, too? I thought it would take some time to come back, too." After saying this, she said with a curious face, "How about the one I told you before? When can it be done?" "Oh, right. I originally planned to tidy up the warehouse, but I saw my sisters-in-law the moment I went out, so I couldn't help but inform them, too. I just didn't expect that I would lose track of time after this conversation. I'll go tidy up the warehouse, and it will be done soon. You and, this big brother will go and sit in the room for a while. There's warm water in the kettle to quench your thirst, too." After saying that, she smiled and turned to leave. Of course, she didn't want to be scolded in front of outsiders. At the same time, she felt that the current Louis Chin was very dangerous. Instinctively, she chose to escape. Kong Xiaoqiao's words sounded relaxed, as if she was saying a long story. It had to be said that Kong Xiaoqiao's martial arts skills were superb, and her mental endurance was strong enough. She was able to perform well on the spot. The noon sun shone on Kong Xiaoqiao's face that was filled with a sweet smile. Her big eyes that were sparkling seemed to be able to speak. When she smiled, her eyes were crystal clear, giving people a warm and relaxed illusion. Point two. Yes, an illusion. However, only Louis Chen could feel this illusion. The other sisters-in-law in the wilderness, including Feng Gang, widened their eyes in shock and admiration. Point two. They had never thought that Kong Xiaoqiao and Louis Chen, this demon, would get along so well and easily. She was actually not afraid of him at all. Point two. Just from Louis Chen's imposing manner and expression just now, they all felt a little trembling. Some of them even gave up and quietly ran away. On the other hand, Kong Xiaoqiao was so natural and relaxed. This was really too. Louis Chen, who was about to approach her, could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. This smelly girl really had a quick change of heart. Just now, she had even made a face at him. If it was someone he did not understand, he would probably have been fooled by her expression. Look, wasn't the group of people around her fooled by her, too? She was quite good at pretending to be peaceful. She was quite good at finding a way out for herself. Thinking of this, Louis Chen narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly, "There's no need. To." "What to?" To. Kong Xiaoqiao was stunned for a moment. Then, she smiled sweetly and said, "It's okay. It's not tiring to clean the warehouse. Don't worry. To." After saying this, she even threw a flirtatious glance at Louis Chen. Everyone was petrified. Equals 2. Louis Chen froze on the spot, while Feng Gang's bell-like big eyes instantly widened. Even Wang Xuehua and the others were stunned. Louis Chen's cold face could not help but blush. This stupid girl was really daring. Who was worried about her? Who the F***CK was worried about her too? Just as Louis Chen was stunned, Feng Gang walked over with a loud laugh. However, he did not dare to pat Louis Chen on the shoulder. Instead, he said gloatingly, "Io, our unit Lu is so protective of the fairer sex. Why didn't I see it earlier, too?" After saying that, he laughed so hard that his teeth could not be seen. It was as if he had discovered a new continent. The expressions of the surrounding wilderness wives were very interesting. It turned out that Kong Xiaoqiao really did not lie to them. It seemed that the matter of Unit Lu helping her cook was really true. Point two. TSK, they really did not see it. It had only been a few days, and the two of them were already like glue. Point two. The women in the wilderness sighed one after another and then dispersed. How could they not be anxious? Such a big piece of news had to be quickly shared with someone. Point two. Unit Lu was such a peerless person, and now he actually felt sorry for his wife. How shocking was this? All right, everyone had a gorgeous misunderstanding, and Louis Chen, who originally wanted to show off to Kong Xiaoqiao, was in a mess in the wind. This person wanted the skin of the face tree, but she was invincible in the world. Kong Xiaoqiao, you're really good. Point two. Kong Xiaoqiao did not care about that. After escaping from Louis Chen's terrifying aura, she was able to defame him again. At this moment, She was proudly tidying up the barn. To be honest, there was nothing much to tidy up in the barn. It was empty. There were only a few farm tools, but there was nothing else. Kong Xiao only glanced at the farm tools symbolically. However, looking at the farm tools, then looking at the desolate little vegetable garden in front of her, and looking at the neat little vegetable garden of Wang Shuawa's house, Kong Xiao could not help but frown. Point two. After a short exchange of blows, Kong Xiao had withdrawn, and Lui Chen could not find fault with her. Feng Gang, who was at the side, stared at Lui Chen and said, "I say, brother, you're good. You're well hidden too." However, the kitchen was now a mess. Kong Xiao had no choice but to hurriedly tidy up again. Then, she opened the lid of the pot. Fortunately, the rice was still fine. Lui Chen left the house and quickly rushed to the department. Because he was in a hurry in the morning, he didn't have time to say anything to Xia Zijuan. Although the two of them didn't have a good relationship, they were childhood friends. Now, he came to the department to report. Although they weren't in the same team, they were in the same department after all. He had to go and take a look. Point two. If it wasn't for Kong Xiao who made the house a mess, he would have gone long ago. Thinking of Kong Xiao, that stinky girl, Lui Chen's old face blushed for no reason. Coincidentally, he was caught by Feng Gang at this moment. Point two. Who was Feng Gang? He was also from the investigation department. He saw the change in Lui Chen at a glance, and immediately ran over with a sly smile. He lifted his arm and put it on Lui Chen's shoulder, as if he had discovered something shameful. Point two. He said softly, "Hey, I say, brother, what's the happy occasion? Why are you smiling so, too?" A burly man put his hand on Lui Chen's body. That weight was enough to fit Lui Chen. However, with such a weight, Lui Chen's body did not even shake. It was clear how solid his basic skills were. Just as Feng Gang finished speaking, Lui Chen moved quickly. He grabbed the other party's claw and turned around. Then, he heard Feng Gang's loud shouting. Point two. Hey, 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 you be gentle, be gentle. Why are you always like this? Hey, brother Lu, show mercy too. Lui Chen did not show any signs of blushing at that moment. Not only did he twitch his lips, he shook his head and said, "King Kong, how many times have I told you? You don't learn too." After saying that, he let go of his hand very quickly. Then, Lui Chen acted as if nothing had happened. Feng Gang held the wrist of his other hand with one hand. He grimaced and said, "Hey you, aren't I just touching your shoulder? Do you have to be so ruthless, too?" Hearing that, Lui Chen looked coldly at Feng Gang, who was taller and stronger than him. He said expressionlessly, "If you were an enemy, you probably wouldn't even have the chance to cry out in pain. When you have nothing to do, hurry up and practice, too." Hearing this, Feng Gang put his entire shoulder down and said with a mournful face, "Please, can you not be so serious? It's always like this, too." Then, he whispered with an aggrieved face, "Do you think I'm willing? If I had your skills, would I still be in this position at my age, too?" Hearing this, Lui Chen stopped walking forward and said with a cold face, "What did you say, too?" Hearing this, Feng Gang immediately waved his hand and said, Nothing. I heard that sister-in-law is very warm-hearted and wants to cook for you, and she accidentally set the house on fire, too." When Lui Chen heard that, his face instantly turned black. He couldn't be bothered with him and directly strode forward. Feng Gang immediately trotted behind him and said as he walked, I've heard about it. TSK, sister-in-law really cares about you. She also knows that this tactic of pestering you is useless. Look, now she's using a roundabout strategy. It's just that she hasn't mastered this technique yet, but this method is still pretty good. I'm not talking about you like a big brother. Sister-in-law is a little young. Look, you have to have good looks, knowledge, and strength. Other than being born in a farming family, everything else is pretty good. Don't keep a cold face every day. Sister-in-law is so attentive to you. Don't let others be disappointed. This woman, you have to dote on her too." Before he could finish, Lui Chen stopped in his tracks. He looked at Feng Gang with disdain and said, "You're a burly man, yet you're so afraid of your wife. I don't know if the others know." When Feng Gang heard that, he immediately widened his eyes, patted his chest, and said, "Me? Afraid of my wife? Nonsense, too. Then he swallowed his saliva and said, I can tell at a glance that you're a raw egg. The more you dote on this woman, the more gentle she becomes. Do you understand? If you don't understand, then learn from me. All right, all right. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm leaving too. Louis Chen looked at a certain King Kong that had left in a hurry and could not help but shake his head. That shrewd Kong Xiao Qiao. Fortunately, he did not give her a good look. If he had given her a good look, she would have been able to go up and tear the roof off the house. Point two. Louis Chen thought of this and curled his lips as he continued to walk forward. Feng Gang's fear of his wife was also accidentally discovered by Louis Chen. Because he was going to get married, the ministry had arranged for him to live in his current house. He happened to be a neighbor of Feng Gang. One day, when he was cleaning up his new house, he accidentally discovered that Feng Gang's wife, Wang Xiuhua, was grabbing his ear and scolding him. The scene of that burly figure being grabbed by a thin and weak woman and screaming, but not retaliating, left Liu Yichen dumbstruck. Point two. Although it was just a face-to-face encounter, what kind of eyes did Liu Yichen have? One look was enough. At that time, he was very surprised. Such a masculine man was actually bullied to such an extent by his wife. This really refreshed Liu Yichen's worldview. Point two. What made him even more puzzled was that Feng Gang's wife, Wang Xiuhua, was a gentle and magnanimous person. He did not expect that she was actually a shrew in private. One should not judge a book by its cover. Perhaps Feng Gang had also seen Liu Yichen that time, and from then on, he did not hide anything from him anymore. He even imparted some experience to Liu Yichen whenever he was free. Liu Yichen did not know what to do. He did not want his ears to be pulled by his wife and scolded like Feng Gang. Thinking about that scene, he decided to forget about it. Point two. As for Feng Gang, he was like a broken jar that had been thrown into a bucket. Liu Yichen had seen it anyway, so it was useless for him to say anything more. However, didn't others see it? Even if Feng Gang was open-minded, it was still very embarrassing to be afraid of his wife in this era. Point two. Therefore, as soon as Liu Yichen opened his mouth, he became listless and hurriedly ran away. However, no matter what, Feng Gang's evaluation of Liu Yichen was quite high. At the same time, he was especially impressed by him. Otherwise, since he was so much older than Liu Yichen, why would he willingly work together with him? 2. If the two leaders of this team did not get along, that would be a big taboo. Feng Gang could not help but admire Liu Yichen. Not to mention anything else, with his skills, he reckoned that the entire department here did not have a match for him. Then, even in the headquarters of the Special Forces, he would still be in existence at the king level. Otherwise, how could a young person become a division leader? 2. There was a difference between the ranks of the Special Forces Department and those of the ordinary departments. In other departments, the battalion commander was a battalion commander, while the detachment commander was a regiment commander. However, the battalion commander of the Special Forces Department was a regiment commander. Point two. In other words, the ranks of Liu Yichen's department were a level higher than the ranks of the other departments. However, the kitchen was now a mess. Kong Xiaoqiao had no choice but to hurriedly tidy up again. Then, she opened the lid of the pot. Fortunately, the rice was still fine. Liu Yichen left the house and quickly rushed to the department. Because he was in a hurry in the morning, he didn't have time to say anything to Xia Zijuan. Although the two of them didn't have a good relationship, they were childhood friends. Now, he came to the department to report. Although they weren't in the same team, they were in the same department after all. He had to go and take a look. Point two. If it wasn't for Kong Xiaoqiao who made the house a mess, he would have gone long ago. Thinking of Kong Xiaoqiao, that stinky girl, Liu Yichen's old face blushed for no reason. Coincidentally, he was caught by Feng Gang at this moment. Point two. Who was Feng Gang? He was also from the investigation department. He saw the change in Liu Yichen at a glance and immediately ran over with a sly smile. He lifted his arm and put it on Liu Yichen's shoulder, as if he had discovered something shameful. Point two. He said softly, "Hey, I say, brother, what's the happy occasion? Why are you smiling so, too?" A burly man put his hand on Liu Yichen's body. That weight was enough to fit Liu Yichen. However, with such a weight, Liu Yichen's body did not even shake. It was clear how solid his basic skills were. Just as Phone Gang finished speaking, Louis Chin moved quickly. He grabbed the other party's claw and turned around. Then, he heard Phone Gang's loud, shouting point two. Hey, 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 you be gentle, be gentle. Why are you always like this? Hey, brother Lou, show mercy too. Louis Chin did not show any signs of blushing at that moment. Not only did he twitch his lips, he shook his head and said, King Kong, how many times have I told you? You don't learn too. After saying that, he let go of his hand very quickly. Then, Louis Chin acted as if nothing had happened. Phone Gang held the wrist of his other hand with one hand. He grimaced and said, Hey you, aren't I just touching your shoulder? Do you have to be so ruthless, too? Hearing that, Louis Chin looked coldly at Phone Gang, who was taller and stronger than him. He said expressionlessly, If you were an enemy, you probably wouldn't even have the chance to cry out in pain. When you have nothing to do, hurry up and practice, too. Hearing this, Phone Gang put his entire shoulder down and said with a mournful face, Please, can you not be so serious? It's always like this, too. Then, he whispered with an aggrieved face, Do you think I'm willing? If I had your skills, would I still be in this position at my age, too? Hearing this, Louis Chin stopped walking forward and said with a cold face, What did you say, too? Hearing this, Phone Gang immediately waved his hand and said, Nothing. I heard that sister-in-law is very warm-hearted and wants to cook for you, and she accidentally set the house on fire, too. When Louis Chin heard that, his face instantly turned black. He couldn't be bothered with him and directly strode forward. Phone Gang immediately trotted behind him and said as he walked, I've heard about it. TSK, sister-in-law really cares about you. She also knows that this tactic of pestering you is useless. Look, now she's using a roundabout strategy. It's just that she hasn't mastered this technique yet, but this method is still pretty good. I'm not talking about you like a big brother. Sister-in-law is a little young. Look, you have to have good looks, knowledge, and strength. Other than being born in a farming family, everything else is pretty good. Don't keep a cold face every day. Sister-in-law is so attentive to you. Don't let others be disappointed. This woman, you have to dote on her too. Before he could finish, Louis Chin stopped in his tracks. He looked at Phone Gang with disdain and said, You're a burly man, yet you're so afraid of your wife. I don't know if the others know. When Phone Gang heard that, he immediately widened his eyes, patted his chest, and said, Me? Afraid of my wife? Nonsense, too. Then, he swallowed his saliva and said, I can tell at a glance that you're a raw egg. The more you dote on this woman, the more gentle she becomes. Do you understand? If you don't understand, then learn from me. All right. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm leaving too. Louis Chin looked at a certain King Kong that had left in a hurry and could not help but shake his head. That shrewd Kong Xiao. Fortunately, he did not give her a good look. If he had given her a good look, she would have been able to go up and tear the roof off the house point two. Louis Chin thought of this and curled his lips as he continued to walk forward. Phone Gang's fear of his wife was also accidentally discovered by Louis Chin. Because he was going to get married, the ministry had arranged for him to live in his current house. He happened to be a neighbor of Phone Gang. One day, when he was cleaning up his new house, he accidentally discovered that Phone Gang's wife, Wang Shuahua, was grabbing his ear and scolding him. The scene of that burly figure being grabbed by a thin and weak woman and screaming, but not retaliating, left Louis Chin dumbstruck point two. Although it was just a face-to-face encounter, what kind of eyes did Louis Chin have? One look was enough. At that time, he was very surprised. Such a masculine man was actually bullied to such an extent by his wife. This really refreshed Louis Chin's worldview point too. What made him even more puzzled was that Phone Gang's wife, Wang Shuahua, was a gentle and magnanimous person. He did not expect that she was actually a shrew in private. One should not judge a book by its cover. Perhaps Phone Gang had also seen Louis Chin that time, and from then on, he did not hide anything from him anymore. He even imparted some experience to Louis Chin whenever he was free. Louis Chin did not know what to do. He did not want his ears to be pulled by his wife and scolded like Phone Gang. Thinking about that scene, he decided to forget about it point two. As for Phone Gang, he was like a broken jar that had been thrown into a bucket. Louis Chen had seen it anyway, so it was useless for him to say anything more. However, didn't others see it? Even if Feng Gang was open-minded, it was still very embarrassing to be afraid of his wife in this era. Point two. Therefore, as soon as Louis Chen opened his mouth, he became listless and hurriedly ran away. However, no matter what, Feng Gang's evaluation of Louis Chen was quite high. At the same time, he was especially impressed by him. Otherwise, since he was so much older than Louis Chen, why would he willingly work together with him? 2. If the two leaders of this team did not get along, that would be a big taboo. Feng Gang could not help but admire Louis Chen. Not to mention anything else, with his skills, he reckoned that the entire department here did not have a match for him. Then, even in the headquarters of the Special Forces, he would still be in existence at the king level. Otherwise, how could a young person become a division leader? 2. There was a difference between the ranks of the Special Forces department and those of the ordinary departments. In other departments, the battalion commander was a battalion commander, while the detachment commander was a regiment commander. However, the battalion commander of the Special Forces department was a regiment commander. Point two. In other words, the ranks of Louis Chen's department were a level higher than the ranks of the other departments. Because she knew that complaining would not solve any problems. She was like a cactus, living wherever she inserted herself. Moreover, she lived freely and happily. Point two. Kong Xiaoqiao quickly got up and folded the quilt. At this moment, Louis Chen's door was already open, which meant that he had already gotten up. Kong Xiaoqiao pouted and thought about it. She seemed to be at a disadvantage. Would this Louis Chen peek at her while she was sleeping? Sister, you were really thinking too much. Louis Chen did not even look at you when he left. Okay? However, Kong Xiaoqiao did not think so. This was not okay. She could not do something that was at a disadvantage. She had to think of a way. Kong Xiaoqiao's big eyes moved. An idea immediately appeared in her mind. However, now is not the time to do this. Now, the day has been bright. She is probably too tired, so sleep a little heavy while the stomach is singing Empty City. So, Kong Xiaoqiao neatly got up. She quickly washed the face and took a towel to wipe it. Point two. Because she heard a voice coming from the yard, Kong Xiaoqiao heard a look. Hey, isn't this the big King Kong from yesterday, too? I saw him back, carrying a black pot, carrying a lot of things in his hands. Too. What was that? Those long strips of white with a tinge of red. Cough, cough. How much meat did he buy, too? And the basket in his hand was dripping with water. Could it be a fish, too? Not only that, there were also a lot of bits and pieces. What was the meaning of this legendary scapegoat carrying so many things to her house? 2. Just as she was puzzled, she suddenly saw a familiar figure behind the great Vajra. Cough, cough, wasn't that Louis Chen? However, why did this guy only have a simple cloth bag in his hand? Compared to the items on the Great King Kong, it was like a drop in the ocean. Point two. Even if Kong Xiaoqiao did not understand the hierarchy system in the ministry, she had also crammed in these 2 days. This Great King Kong, Instructor Feng, was actually on the same level as Louis Chen. It was just that the division of labor was different. Point two. However, why did she feel like this Great King Kong was like one of Louis Chen's subordinates? No, this was not as simple as one of his subordinates. How should she put it? He was a subordinate who was on equal footing with Louis Chen and could joke around. Point two. All right, Louis Chen would be the first. Logically speaking, the Great King Kong was older than Louis Chen, so it shouldn't be like this. Kong Xiaoqiao also knew that Louis Chen's background wasn't simple, but she didn't know the specifics. Could it be that the young man she married, Louis Chen, had already started to pretend to be an old cadre, and was even from a prominent family? Kong Xiaoqiao used her index finger to stroke her chin, and her eyes couldn't help but narrow. Forget it, who cares? Whatever background he had, what did it have to do with her? It wasn't as charming as a good meal. Thinking about the fragrant fish, she couldn't help but start drooling again. Point two. Before she reached the door, she heard the King Kong shout, Xiaoqiao. Xiaoqiao, come out and receive the things, too. Kong Xiaoqiao didn't care whether she had finished combing her hair or not. She ran out with her hair disheveled. When she saw him, she said with a smile, I'm coming, too. Brother Feng, so what if you came? Why did you bring so many things, too? When Feng Gang heard that, he immediately coughed twice. His face was full of embarrassment. F***CK. It was really not like a family didn't enter the same house. The two of them had the same mouth point, too. However, Feng Gang was an open-minded person. He acted as if he didn't understand and said, "Ahem, no, that. Isn't it early in the morning? I was woken up by your husband to go shopping, too." After saying that, he even gave Louis Chin a resentful expression. Equals O equals 2. This look made Kong Xiaoqiao's goosebumps almost explode. Big brother, do you have to be so affectionate, too? In fact, Kong Xiaoqiao just wanted to tease this King Kong. However, she didn't expect him to actually do this. Louis Chin walked over from behind and was still as cold as ever. Even if the King Kong was like this, he didn't give him a look. He calmly walked to the stone table under the big willow tree, put the things down, and said indifferently, "Look, did we buy everything? Did we miss anything, too?" Now, the courtyard of Kong Xiaoqiao's house had changed greatly. Before, it was empty and cold, but now there was a lot of smoke and fire. To the right of Kong Xiaoqiao's house, there were 2 storehouses. The stove was placed in front of the storehouse, next to the vegetable garden. The cabinet was placed in the storehouse, and a rectangular table was made according to Kong Xiaoqiao's instructions. It was specially used to wash vegetables and cut vegetables point too. The other applications were also put here, including the water tank. In the future, this place would become a kitchen. The door of the new kitchen faced the simple stove. To be honest, this stove was built with great care. Not only was it built with red bricks, but Louis Chin had also placed ceramic tiles on it. Not only was it beautiful, but it was also easy to take care of. Under such conditions, Kong Xiaoqiao felt that it was already pretty good. She gave Louis Chin a big bonus and was quite thoughtful. Not far from the new kitchen, there was a big willow tree. This willow tree was very tall. Looking at the scenery, it must have been 10 or 20 years old. The crown of the tree was very thick and it was very luxuriant. The weeping willows with green leaves swayed in the wind. It looked very beautiful. Therefore, Kong Xiaoqiao had a flash of inspiration and asked Louis Chin to set up a stone table under the big willow tree. Drinking tea under the tree like this was also a kind of beautiful enjoyment. Kong Xiaoqiao's idea was beautiful, but it was not easy to implement. In this era where food and clothing were more important than anything else, who would have the leisure to engage in elegance and enjoy life when they were free? Too. Kong Xiaoqiao was just casually saying it. She had already thought about it. If it really didn't work, she could just set up a wooden table. After Louis Chin heard it, he frowned and didn't say anything. Kong Xiaoqiao thought that it was over, but what did she just see? After Louis Chin put down the things, he saw that he heard Kong Xiaoqiao's voice after a long time. He couldn't help but frown and turn around. Under the sun, he saw a little girl wearing a white shirt. Her thick bangs and long hair were scattered. The index and middle fingers of her right hand were placed by her lips. A pair of big black and white eyes looked over in confusion. Her small mouth was slightly open. She revealed a surprised and pleasantly surprised expression point too. Louis Chin looked up and saw Kong Xiaoqiao's silly and cute look. His heart could not help but jump, and then his face turned black. His face was ashen, and he roared with a ferocious expression, "Kong Xiaoqiao, too. Who told you to go out without clothes?" "Ah, too." Kong Xiaoqiao, who was staring blankly at the brand new stone table under the big willow tree just now, was so scared that she trembled. Then, she touched her hair like a deer in a daze. After looking at herself, she said, "What's wrong with me? I'm wearing clothes, too. Which one of you is wearing clothes, too?" Just as Louis Chin finished shouting, the Vodra bent over to unload the pot. His movements froze for a moment, and he instinctively turned his head over. In the end, Kong Xiaoqiao felt a gust of wind blow past, and then, too, she was held in an embrace by a person. Before she could react, she had been thrown onto the Kong by Louis Chin point two. Then, a certain someone quickly pulled the curtains shut like the wind. Meanwhile, Kong Xiaoqiao was still in a daze. What was going on? But very quickly, she revealed a pained expression. Her buttocks were in so much pain that they were about to split open. She did not know what kind of madness this person was feeling, so she was furious. With tears in her eyes, she shouted, Lu Yichin, you lunatic, what are you doing? Too. Oh, it hurts so much, it hurts so much. Can't you be gentler? Don't you know that this Kong is very hard? Do you want to fall to my death, too? At first, Kong Xiao was quite strong, but in the end, she no longer had any strength. It hurts so much. Looking at Kong Xiao, who was falling with tears in her eyes, for a moment, Lu Yichin's heart softened. However, when he looked at the pair of snow-white long legs that were exposed outside, too, Lu Yichin's anger rose again. With a cold face, he said expressionlessly, It's fine if you fall to your death. You don't want to go out and embarrass yourself, too. When Kong Xiao heard this, she stopped rubbing her butt. She slowly turned her head and looked up at Lu Yichin. There were still tears on her eyelashes. It was obvious that she was in pain from a fall. However, just like that, she looked pitiful. In the next moment, she turned into an angry little kitten and flashed her claws. Kong Xiao casually picked up the feather duster on the Kong and hit Lu Yichin. As she hit him, she shouted, Lu Yichin, you want to kill me? What did I do to you? You want to kill me? How am I a disgrace? How am I a disgrace, too? What did I do to provoke you? You keep hitting me like this. Have you asked for my opinion? I've tolerated you for a long time, too. Hey, let go, too. However, no matter how hard Kong Xiao tried, she could not break free from Lu Yichin's grip on her wrist. Kong Xiao was so angry that she was going crazy. At this moment, her face was flushed red as she glared fiercely at Lu Yichin. Lu Yichin had never seen a woman who was so desperate. He was stunned. He stood there and did not know what to do. He could only be a statue with a cold face and let Kong Xiao do whatever she wanted. He did not dare to let go of Kong Xiao's hand. Looking at this girl's desperate stance, letting go would definitely be more troublesome. Lu Yichin was already used to using force to suppress people. As long as they were not obedient, they would be suppressed by his force until they were obedient. What was Lu Yichin doing? How could Kong Xiao hit him? At this moment, Lu Yichin grabbed Kong Xiao's wrist, which was holding the feather duster, and looked at the unrepentant Kong Xiao with a cold face. He frowned and said, You still have the nerve to say that? Look at yourself. Look at what you're wearing. It's simply immoral, too. Kong Xiao could not break free from Lu Yichin's hand. At this moment, she was fuming with anger. She pouted and stared at Lu Yichin. Seeing him sweep his jade-like legs, she was so angry that she could not help but spit out, You stinking hooligan! What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen a beauty showing off her thighs, too? When Lu Yichin heard this, even his face fell hot. So he turned his face away and said, Shameless. You don't know how to behave, too. What? Who said that she was shameless and didn't know how to behave? F***CK. He scolded her like that the first time they met. She was only wearing a pair of homemade shorts. How could she be shameless and don't know how to behave? 2. Kong Xiao had no choice. She wanted to sleep, but she realized that the original owner didn't have pajamas. The weather was getting hot, and she was sleeping in long pants. For Kong Xiao, who always slept naked, it was torture. Since there was a foreigner in the house, she thought for a long time and decided to be a tailor for a while, but she didn't expect to. Thinking of this, Kong Xiao could not help but squint her eyes. Looking at Lu Yichin's embarrassed look, she tugged hard at the hand holding the feather duster. Just like the last few times, she was grabbed tightly by Lu Yichin. Therefore, Kong Xiao blinked her eyes and said, What? Are you trying to be a hoodlum? Why are you holding my hand and not letting go, too? When Lu Yichin heard this, he immediately turned his face over. However, not only was Kong Xiao not afraid, she even widened her eyes and raised her chin. She said, loudly with a proud face, I said, Are you trying to be a hoodlum by holding my hand? You're a beast. You won't even let go of an underage girl, too. When Lu Yichin heard this, his face instantly sank. Taking advantage of this gap, Kong Xiao suddenly rushed forward. Her entire face almost touched Lu Yichin's face, scaring Lu Yichin so much that he hurriedly took a step back and then let go of her hand point too. Meanwhile, Kong Xiao rubbed her wrist, which was red from Lu Yichin's grasp, with a face full of victory. She said disdainfully, Tisk, you're worse than a beast, too. At this moment, Louis Chin's face was as black as ink as he growled, "Kong Xiao Xiao, too." Kong Xiao Xiao replied very unhappily, "What, too?" Louis Chin's nose was almost crooked from anger. He glared fiercely at Kong Xiao Xiao and said, "Nonsense. Hurry up and put on your clothes properly. Otherwise, you're not allowed to go out, too." After saying this, he turned around and left in a hurry. Meanwhile, Kong Xiao Xiao pursed her lips. "Humph, little fellow, you want to fight with me? You can't take it anymore? I haven't even used my ultimate move yet. TSK, you're really a little green onion point too." Meanwhile, a certain someone who was called a little green onion had a red face at this moment. However, it was fortunate that he spent a lot of time outside in the sun, so his skin color was obscured. However, his beating heart betrayed his current state of mind. During this period of time, the great King Kong, who had been guarding outside, did not know whether to enter or leave Point 2. To be honest, because he had taken many things, he really did not notice Kong Xiao Xiao's clothes. This girl's face was enough to attract all of his attention. She was beautiful and eye-catching. In addition, Kong Xiao Xiao's hair was disheveled today, and her thick bangs covered her full forehead. Her pair of big eyes were watery, and she was thin and small. She looked only a few years older than his elder daughter, Fong Fong. He did not pay attention to anything else. Point 2. As a man, it was not appropriate for him to listen to the corner. Louis Chin closed the curtains again. He could not see, but he could vaguely hear, "You crazy person, what are you going to do, too? Hooligan, beast, too." The more Fong Gang listened, the colder his sweat fell. Then he looked at the sun. He was still in the courtyard. This was not good. Fong Gang might be a chatterbox, but he also had principles. So, he quickly put his things away and ran to the stone table under the big willow tree to sit down. Point 2. It wouldn't be good to just leave like this. He would stay away and wait. If he couldn't, he would go home. And now that he saw Liu Yichin coming out, with beads of sweat on his forehead and red ears, his heart was beating faster than usual after running 10 kilometers. He was a little dazed. He couldn't do it. Liu Yichin was the youngest king of the wilderness who was unbeatable in the entire department. He was a thief with a sniper rifle in one hand and a gangster in two. He didn't refuse anyone, and his young body was even better. Fong Gang had a conflicted look on his face. In the end, he had the upper hand out of kindness. Of course, it was unknown if there was even a hint of Schadenfreude. Point 2. He swallowed his saliva and sneakily went forward. He said with a regretful look, "That brother, too. Bang, bang, dang, dang. Io, too." Kong Xiao Xiao had just finished changing her clothes. When she went out, she saw the two of them fighting in the courtyard. Moreover, they were fierce. When their fists landed on Big King Kong's body, Kong Xiao Xiao felt sorry for him. Point 2. What was going on just now? When she lifted the curtains, she saw the two of them talking in a low voice. Why did the two of them fight together as soon as she left the house? Kong Xiao Xiao looked at the two people who were going back and forth. Well, Louis Chin came more, and Big King Kong came less. That was definitely a beating without any suspense. Was this a fight or not?